Whether it's a girls' night out or a night in with sprinkles, the refreshing taste of Kim Crawford makes any moment amazing. Available in Sauvignon Blanc and Rosé. Buy Kim Crawford at orderkimcrawford.com. Make it amazing. Please enjoy our wines responsibly. 2022 Constellation Imports, Rutherford, California, USA.
Downshift, nice to have you back. And I think we're caught up so far. Oh, there's Delta Tessercat. Nice to see you. And, yeah, what a night. I'm still buzzing from last night. I still got the ringing in my ears. Oh, yeah, it was Avatar Country last night. It was a beautiful thing. Very beautiful. And, yeah, I'm going to play a video for you guys later on in the show. It was amazing. Amazing. We got 30 seconds here before we're going to launch. My voice is still a little screwed up, but that's okay. We will make it through, as we always do, because that's what we do here on SOR. Raz, nice to see you. Yes, I do eat flies when they fly into my mouth, damn it. All right, we got 5 seconds. Super Chat is open. You can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store at our website. Otherwise, for all of you out there, horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live at KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a hell of a show for you tonight as Varla Ventura is here again with Our Cryptid World. We're going to get into some paranormal chatter with her. Then in hour number 3, we will have Swamp Dweller coming in with another spooky story. Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio is here for another cryptid report. I got the Dave 101, and of course Shirky Poo has the news. Varla Ventura, author extraordinaire, the queen of the dark cryptids, is here for her monthly segment that we call Our Cryptid World. Varla is an accomplished author whose books can be found in any major bookstore across North America and the world as she seeks to find answers to some of the strangest, weirdest, and darkest creatures that lurk our planet. Now, Varla, who is absolutely amazing and brilliant, tonight is taking us on a paranormal journey. We're going to get into ghosts. We're going to get into hauntings. Maybe a little Ouija board, maybe a little poltergeist activity, maybe a little shadow people that seem to be lurking in the corners of the house. And, yeah, she is just amazing. Her website, varlaventura.net. If you want to check it on out, there she is, Varla Ventura. It's always a pleasure to have you back on Spaced Out Radio. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Love being here. Missed
too.
You.
I know. You know, I apologize that my voice is a little bit scratchy tonight, but for the audience who doesn't know, last night I drove down with the family down to Vancouver, which is about 5.5 hours south, because one of the birthday presents that I got for my son last month, who turned 9, was tickets to one of his favorite bands. He had never been to a rock concert, literally since he was in the womb. Yeah. So, going back to November 8th, 2012, my partner and I went and saw Guns N' Roses at the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas. First time seeing, or second time seeing Bumblefoot play with him at that point. We didn't know we were pregnant until the day after the concert, when Mrs. SOR decides that she's going to order up pineapple juice in the morning instead of coffee. Right? So that's when I knew. That's totally when I knew. So he was in the womb for that concert, but, you know, he hadn't been to one with his eyes open. Okay? So one of his favorite bands is a Swedish metal band, because my kid's a little metalhead, named Avatar. And they had two opening bands, one from Vancouver called I Monolith. I'd never heard of them until last night. Those guys were seriously good. Seriously good. And then it was followed up by a metal band called Light the Torch. And so I got to tell you this story because this is kind of cool. We were sitting in the general admission stands for the first little bit. And then my son couldn't see anything because all the tall people, you know, all the adults were kind of standing up in front of him. So he barely saw the first band. So after the first band, when we're getting ready for Light the Torch, we convinced him, come on, let's go stand up by the stage. So, you know, there is no seating. It's general admission. Everybody's kind of crowding the floor. It wasn't too bad at all. Lots of room. And this gentleman and his girlfriend, they're behind us. And they're like, hey, man, it's so cool that you brought your kid here. I'm like, yeah. I said he loves Avatar and, you know, he's a little metalhead. And he's like, hey, do you mind if I give your son a gift? I said, sure. So he pulls out a drumstick that was thrown into the crowd from the first band and gave that to my boy. And my boy was like, really? I can have this? I'm like, yeah, it's okay. You can have that. He was very thankful. And so we kind of moved into where we're like row number 2, right in front of the stage, or you know, they put that fencing up, that gate up. We're right there. And about 5 minutes before the concert, this big dude, you know, like about 6'2", 270, big dude. He sees me with my boy, and he goes, hey, man, rock on, you got your kid here. I'm like, thanks, man. He goes, we got to give him a guitar pick. So I'm like, cool. And like a couple minutes later, before Avatar comes on, this dude says, hey, he's waving at me, yelling at me. I'm like, yeah. He goes, come here. And he leaves his spot right in front on the gate. So that way my son could have his spot. So here's my son, first time, front row at his first rock concert. Avatar comes on. He is like totally headbanging the entire time. It was absolutely phenomenal. I was so proud of him. And at the end of the show, like, no, not the end. We won't go there yet. But about a third of the way through the show, the singer of Avatar sees my son right up front. And he comes down right in front of us. And he literally, and this was the coolest thing, he literally got down on his knees, pointed at my son. My son gives him the horns. And he gives my son the horns back. And this happened about 3-4 times during the show. I was so happy for him, right? All I wanted to do, though, was I wanted to get him a guitar pick. So the guitarist named Tim Orstrom, who was playing right in front of my boy the entire time, all right, at the end of the show, Tim actually gets down, after they do their bowing to the crowd and everything, he gets down on a knee and he gets down on a knee and he hands my boy a pair of guitar picks. I was so happy for my son. He didn't know what to do. It was just an amazing experience, Varla.
So did your son say anything afterwards, or was he just kind of awestruck? Just kind of, not even sure what to say, because I think that's such a powerful experience. It kind of leaves you
he was so
especially
tired.
If you're 9.
He was so tired. Like honestly, I mean, I felt for him because he was so tired, but he was so into the moment. It was just.
What was it like midnight when they were playing, or were you just powered on?
They went on stage. We got there at 7, and they went on stage about 10 o'clock. So
yeah,
it was pretty incredible watching him last night. It really was. I took a video. Our radio audience won't be able to see this, but if you're on YouTube or Twitch, you will be able to. This was my boy last night. We'll restart this video here. But this is my boy last night, right in front. He is like banging his head right to the guitarist who's shaking his beautiful hair, Tim Orstrom. It was just absolutely amazing. My
Look
kid
that guy.
throwing
That
the horns
awesome.
up. Oh, yeah, he was so happy last night. So happy. And it was phenomenal. Just the fact, I talked to our music guy, Ron Bumblefoot Thal of Sons of Apollo, formerly of Guns N' Roses, beforehand. A few days before the concert. And I'm like, dude, do you know these guys? Because I really wanted to get him a pick. I didn't know if we'd get up front or whatever. He's like, Dave, just get him to the front. He goes, the one thing we love up on stage is seeing kids enjoy our music. You get him up front, he'll get a guitar pick, guaranteed. Right? And sure enough, man. The guitarist Tim Orstrom from Avatar. What a great dude. And just rocking with my kid there. And
so great.
Oh yeah. It was fantastic. I'm so happy. I was so happy for my son.
Was he the only kid there, Dave?
There wasn't many. There wasn't.
But there were a few.
There were a few there. But
I love that.
Yeah.
Love it.
It was one of those moments that I will remember for a long time. And my partner and I, we were like, you know what? Like we were talking about it this morning, and even talking about when we got home about an hour and a half before showtime here. Literally, I'm running on fumes. But we were talking about it, and it was just the perfect experience for him. And, in life, Varla, we get so few perfect experiences, or what we would generalize as perfect experiences. And I wouldn't trade what happened last night for the world. It was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's very true about perfect experiences. And also, I mean, I've, as you have, I've been to many, many concerts, and they're not, they kind of run the spectrum from, people being like rude and pushy to get up front and protective of their space. I've definitely experienced that a lot. But just like to have a kid there and just kind of like create this magical space, and it just kind of like makes everyone around realize like what impact music has, and what just that he was so welcomed. I think that's the other key, is that he was really brought into it and really felt like he was part of it. Like he was important to the band and they were important to him. And that's a big feeling that, there's not, you can't give that to your kid. All you can give him is the experience, and he got that from it.
And you know what? I will say this about the heavy metal community. The heavy metal community over the last 20 years, 25 years has really been dying. You don't, outside of the big name bands, you don't hear a lot of them on radio, a lot of rock and roll on radio anymore, unless you're listening to a rock station or you're on Sirius XM, but everything has gone to hip hop and to rap and to EDM and dance music. And not that there's anything wrong with those genres, not at all, but rock has really taken the biggest hit in music over the last 25 years, and a lot of people feel it's a dying form of music, and I hope to God it isn't. But it doesn't get the airplay that it used to.
Yeah.
let's say back in the
Yeah, that's
70s
true.
or the 80s hair metal days, right?
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
but the fact that, the one thing I will say about this, you go to a hip hop concert or you go to a pop concert, whether it's, Justin Bieber or Ariana Grande or somebody like that, everybody, because that's the way they are, and we've been to those types of concerts before where there's a little bit of attitude, like, don't butt into my area, don't do this, don't do that,
Well, and people also spend, a couple $100 to get in those concerts. So they're like, quote unquote, trying to get their money's worth. And I've definitely been in bigger venues where everyone's so focused on like trying to keep that space and they totally miss out on the concert.
Oh, yeah.
And I spent a good portion of my youth in mosh pits. I won't lie.
Yeah.
That's probably why I have back problems. I fractured something in there. But man, it's so great when you fall and the whole, 10 arms pick you up. It's just, it's really a great feeling. But, I was wondering too, like I actually haven't been to a concert that other than like a couple of outdoor kind of festival things, random things. I haven't been to a concert post, pandemic and everybody just being so deprived. And I wonder too, like, or maybe this is just the romantic, optimist in me, but I'd like to think that going to these concerts now have become a little bit more precious because we weren't able to do them for so long. And I just remember thinking like mid 2020, that all I wanted was to just be in like a smoky, crowded, just shoved in near the stage, just waiting for your artist to come on and, kind of like laughing and talking to the people around you and having drinks. I just wanted that like complete, not that I wanted to be crushed or anything, but just like that, I don't know, there's that kind of magic, like what your son experienced where when it's good, it's really, really good.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And once again, thank you to Avatar and their guitarist Tim Orstrom for making just
with his beautiful hair.
Oh, he's got fantastic hair. He has fantastic hair. And you know what? Not only does he have some of the best hair in rock and roll, but he's got just a beautiful, thick lip blade mustache. It sticks out about an inch from his face. It's just powerful mustache. Love it. But, it was just everybody we talked to, from when we were waiting in line to get in, to security, to the T-shirt dude who sold my son his first concert shirt,
Yay.
And to everybody who see him. Like I had people coming up to me, just complete strangers. Man, this is awesome that you brought your son to this concert. We'll take care of him. We'll make sure everything. Like I had about 20 people come up to me and just say, "Hey, let's make this your kid's first concert." Yeah, man. Hey, man, let's make sure it's a good one for him. Congratulations on bringing him. That's the heavy metal community.
So awesome, Dave.
That's the
like
heavy metal community right there. So
yeah,
I just wanted to get that out. I know we're supposed to be talking paranormal and everything, but that was an important night for me. So I'm going to brag a little bit on that one.
You should brag. And I think there's a couple of questions that we want to ask. One is, were you headbanging?
Oh, hell yes. Of course.
And were you able to keep up with your son headbanging?
No. I was not.
Does your neck hurt?
No, my neck doesn't hurt.
Do you need a massage?
I do need a massage. I do need a massage, but I will tell you, I was too busy watching him. I got some great photos, and I'll share some of those photos a little bit later. But it like I said, it was just one of those. I teared up afterwards when he got the guitar picks. I teared up afterwards because I just wanted to see him have that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and he got it.
And he got it.
And
He
he
doesn't.
got it because, like, well, Bumblefoot called it, right?
Yes. Yeah, Bumblefoot totally called it. And I tagged him in the post today when I put the video up of him handbagging, and Bumblefoot just loves it. Just loves it. Just classy. Classy, and it was an amazing time. And, yeah, I'm getting a little emotional just even talking about it because...
Yeah, I mean, it's great. And music is such a fundamental, I mean, I don't know for everyone in the world, but certainly for most of us, some kind of music has been so influential in our lives and kind of creating, who we are as people. I mean, it's that background. It's the reason that there's soundtracks to movies, because it invokes such an emotional response, and it really helps with memory. So to have that, it'd be really cool to just talk to him in a couple years about it and get his impressions of it, because I know, I definitely know certainly with my son, right after we have an experience, is he doesn't necessarily want to talk about it a lot, but
I don't think
he's been to a few concerts, but not lately, not in the last couple of years. We haven't gone to any, and he's definitely gotten much more conscious about music. He's playing music, he's composing music, he's really. So I think it's critical to bring them somewhere, and it's very heartening to hear that you brought your son and you had such a great experience with it. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we got 2.5 minutes left before we have to go to break. So that, I apologize, Varla, for...
Whether it's a girls' night out or a night in with sprinkles, the refreshing taste of Kim Crawford makes any moment amazing. Available in Sauvignon Blanc and Rosé. Buy Kim Crawford at orderkimcrawford.com. Make it amazing. Please enjoy our wines responsibly. 2022 Constellation Imports, Rutherford, California, USA.
Ah, Portugal. There's so much to do, but so little I feel like I have to do when we are here. Talk about a foreign feeling. When we are back from vacation, let's make sure we are still on track with our investment plans. Just in case we want to retire here.
With Vanguard advice, no matter what your retirement goals are, we can help you get there. That's the value of ownership. Visit Vanguard.com and explore Vanguard advice. All investing is subject to risk. Fund shareholders own the funds that own Vanguard. Services are provided by Vanguard Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor.
Taking up a bunch of that time.
No way. This is awesome. We're all so happy for you and your son, especially.
He doesn't really realize the momentum or what really happened yet, because he was. Nor
should he.
Because
that's part of what makes it so organic and precious.
Yeah.
Right? He's so in the moment, he was able to actually really absorb that moment. And that's the trick. That's what children are so good at, that we as adults are so bad at. Staying in the moment, rolling with it, feeling it, and not being worried about all the things around us, Because, of course, he's got his adults to reassure him, and he had a wall of protection around him. But that ability to just completely clock into the moment, that's what's so key about concerts, right? That's fairy time. That's when time stops and time changes and time, never ends. Is you can put yourself back in time to what was your first concert, Dave?
My first concert was March of 1989, Skid Row opening up for Aerosmith.
Wow. And it doesn't matter how old you are, but
I was 17. I was 17.
My first concert, actual concert was 1991, and I saw the Breeders in concert, and I don't remember who they played with, actually. Oh, it might have been Breeders and Sonic Youth, which explains so much, I think.
Then my next concert...
But I remember just piling in the car and driving down to the city to go to this concert with your friends, and it's just the buzz of that. You remember that so much.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? Even on Facebook when I posted, some photos, his music teacher, Richard, who was really influential and is really influential in my son's life, he was like, we got to get him to a concert. He goes, it's time. He's advancing in guitar so rapidly that you got to take him to a concert and let him feel what could happen if he practices and gets good enough. So I asked him last night, before we go to break here, I said, wouldn't you like to be on stage playing guitar like that with all these people watching you? He goes, oh, Dad, I would love it. So that's what it's all about.
There you go.
I promise you, next half hour, I'm going to shut the hell up about my boy, and we're going to talk with Varla Ventura about some ghost stories. VarlaVentura.net is her website. Find all of her books there at any major bookstore. We'll be back with second half hour right after this. All right, we're clear?
Yeah, you've totally inspired me. Now I want to find a concert I can take my son to. One of the problems that I run into here, though, is a lot of the venues are 18 and up.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find an all-ages venue that does, like, night concerts, you know? I mean, there's plenty of, like, kind of classical and things like that. But other than, like, outdoor festivals, it's kind of hard to find a show that's under, you know, all ages.
I was surprised this one was.
Yeah,
was.
But I'm gonna do a little bit more thorough searching on that.
It was like, I can't get the image out of my head. Just that proud dad moment when literally after the show, the guitarist Tim gets on his knees and is reaching out to hand my boy the pick. But there was like about 8-10 inches between their arms.
And he's like,
and so,
his tiny little arm.
the gentleman who was standing beside my boy, he actually reached over, or he flicked the first one at my son. It hit my son in the shoulder, then fell to the ground. And as I'm picking that one up for my boy, he reached over. The guy beside my son reached over, grabbed it from him, and then gave it right to my boy. Because it was for him, right?
Yeah,
and
because it was obviously for him.
Yeah, so he got 2 picks, and just the look on Tim Orstrom's face, you know, just at my son's level, just staring at him, giving him like the horns and a thumbs up and like you could see him say thank you for coming, and I didn't get my phone out fast enough to record it. I wish I'd recorded.
Except that was like such a but you were probably just like so also in awe of the moment, you know. I actually have found that lately I'm taking less pictures because for that very reason. It's just like I'm just lost in the moment, and obviously, like, you got to take some pictures so you can look back on them and everything. But it's just like I'm gonna just put this in my brain photo album for whatever it's worth, and just try and like be, just trying to be more present and do more single tasking.
Yeah. Here's some of the photos from last night. 1 second here. This was right at the beginning here. And hold on. Just want to make sure I've said hi to everyone here. Here we go. So that was the lead singer, and I forget his name. And there's my boy right there with his horns up right there.
Cute.
Yeah.
That's a nice photo. Beautiful light.
This is the first time when the singer noticed my son, that he's looking right at him. I did get that photo.
Oh, my God. Yeah, because he's like way down there, so cute and little.
Yeah. So my boy is right here.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So he's looking right at my son.
He's like, oh my God, there's a tiny kid here. This is rad.
That's a great photo.
That's a beautiful photo.
Yeah. Just look at that. Look at that mustache.
Look at his,
there.
Yeah. Those are beautiful photos. Great lighting.
Yeah. There's the king. This was during his favorite song, which is "Welcome to Avatar Country." It's a great song. Oh yeah, they just put on it was just a fantastic show.
Look at him.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just a great show. There's my son. This was the second time he came up to my boy.
Aww.
I just got to see how much time we have left. All right, we got about a minute. Yeah, I'm going to continue dad moment.
Yeah,
here.
do it.
Oh, fuck
this
it.
is really exciting.
Yeah, there's the drummer. The drummer's weird. He's got these weird eyes. Yeah, and there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't get enough of that. I just cannot get enough of this.
It's the view too. You can see a little bit of the drummer just like totally badassing it back there, and this is great.
Just it's fantastic.
Oh my god,
Just fantastic.
So cute. Oh my god, Dave.
I know, right?
What a wonderful, yeah, really awesome. Good job.
Yeah, I'm
Good
happy.
job taking him to that. Good job taking him to that. So it was all ages venue, which is amazing, and a late night concert.
I know.
What I also love is I love when I see, like, I go to a concert and I see like parents with like their, I know, sort of youngish teenagers, especially, that are like still want to hang out.
Hold on 1 second.
Gotcha.
Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Varla Ventura and her Cryptid World, as Varla comes in once a month near the end of each month to talk about the monsters that are among us. She's one of the top cryptid writers in the world. You can find all of her books at any major bookstore or online at varlaventura.net. Varla, we're getting into some ghosts tonight. Why did you want to go down the ghostly road? This is rare for you.
Well, I love ghosts. And I actually had an experience in my house for the first time. I've lived here for about 6 years. I've had a couple of things, when I first moved in here, it was just a very different style of house. I think I was very used to like apartment living. And so I expected to hear more sounds of like neighbors and such, but it's a house. So I'm hearing the sounds of the house. So it took some getting used to. But I had this really cool, and still, like, I'm not quite sure what to make of it. But so a friend of mine came to visit. She's my best friend we've known each other since high school. We've remained friends. We've planned long trips together, and she's my friend. We're trying to go to Scotland together. This is the third or fourth year we've been planning it. And, we've just stayed in touch over the years, even though we haven't always. For a while, we lived together, and then we lived in the same, lived in San Francisco, and then we lived in Amsterdam together. And anyway, we've been around the world and back, and seen our lives change and such. And anyway, so she came to visit, and she brought her younger daughter, who is a teenager, and they're staying in the house. And so I woke up, and it was actually, I think I even looked at my phone. So I feel like it was like 4 a.m. And that's not particularly unusual for me. I'm a sort of a fitful sleeper, and I wake up a lot. But I woke up, and as I was like, I kind of looked at my watch. And for some reason, I want to say it was like 4:13. That number flashes in my head. And I start hearing this woman's voice. And it sounds to me, what it sounded like to me was my friend reassuring her daughter. So my house is kind of a split level. So I was in like the bedroom above the daughter, but my friend was in the other room, kind of like diagonally. And it's actually pretty hard to hear things upstairs when you're down here. That's why this is my studio down here, because, you know, I can stay up till 3 a.m. talking to you, and it's not my kid can still sleep upstairs. So anyway, I wake up and I hear this woman's voice, and she's saying, "It's okay, it's okay, it's okay," like over and over again. And what it sounds like to me is my friend's daughter, for some reason, woke up upset, and my friend is reassuring her. And so I sort of sat up for a few minutes, and I thought, if they, it's my friend. If she needs me, I know she'll come and get me. So I didn't want to like be too intrusive, because it sounded like, she was trying to comfort her. And I was actually fully expecting her to come, up into the kitchen and get a cup of water, or like come get me and say, "Hey, can you help me with this?" or whatever. I didn't really know what was going on, but it's just sounded like my friend. It sounded exactly like sort of a low woman's voice saying, "It's okay," like comforting someone. And so I had to get up really early the next morning, and I don't even remember what I was doing, but I came back. I think I was taking my son somewhere to like camp or something. And I came back, and my friend was up, and she was sitting on the couch, and she was sipping a cup of coffee that she'd made. And I saw her, and, I was like, "So did you guys," I was fully expecting her to tell me, "So listen to what happened last night." And instead, I get some coffee, I sit down with her, and I'm like, "Hey, did you, was everything okay last night?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Did you hear anything at like, 4 a.m, like a voice?" And she was just like, "No, I haven't said a single word all night since I went to sleep until just this morning when, I said good morning to you." And then a little while later, her daughter came up and, kind of asked the same thing. And we tried to figure out, I was like, "Well, what were you listening? Were you listening to music last night? Were you listening to something?" And she's like, "I don't think so." And she checked her phone. And I thought, okay, I fell asleep listening to like some kind of podcast, and some woman's voice came on. And so I looked, but I didn't have like earbuds in. So I was just like looking. I couldn't figure it out. I just couldn't figure out, like, there was nothing on my phone. There was nothing on my phone history of like, I wasn't listening to anything. So I couldn't figure out what it was. And I actually completely expected her to tell me it was her. So at the time when it was happening, I was so convinced it was her that I didn't like think that much of it, which is basically kind of my paranormal experiences in general happen like that. And I think they do for most people. You kind of jump in with a rational explanation, because that's, your mind is just processing this situation and not really able to say, "Hey, this is a paranormal experience." Because I wasn't having like a visual. It was all audio. And so I still, it was so distinct, and I was so shocked that it wasn't them. And so now I just don't know. I don't know what it is. And interestingly, just like a weird kind of side note, my mom had been in the hospital like a few days, like that, actually that whole week leading up to it. And when I called her to tell her, and anyone who has, listened to me talk before knows that my mom is, very witchy, and had, I grew up with like occult books and reading tarot cards, things like that. And so I called my mom up, and I was just like, "Mom, I got to tell you, I had this experience in my house. It's the first one I've ever had in my house." And this is my mom. Like, I had in my apartment in San Francisco, I can't even count how many times I had experiences. And my mom came down and she saw things. And so there was like a very, very haunted apartment. But this was just like a 1980s split level, it's like totally boring. So it's like, how could this be haunted? So anyway, so then I had this experience. So I called my mom and I told her about it. And she said, "I think you heard me," because I was really scared, and I was worried that I was going to be in the hospital longer. And I was telling myself, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And my mom has a very low, soothing voice. So I have no freaking idea what happened there. But then she reminded me that there have been other times. So my brother's a firefighter in California. And there was a time not terribly long ago when he was gone and there was a fire very close to their house. And my mom, in her mind, not out loud, screamed for him to come home. And he was home within 10 minutes. And he told her that he heard her. And, so I don't know. I don't really know what it was. If it was a ghost, I will keep track of what else she has to say. But it was interesting, especially when you've lived somewhere a really long time and I really wasn't expecting to have any kind of experience here. And I was okay with that. I mean, I've had a few things around town, but not in my house. So it wasn't like a bad thing. It was just a very, I'm just not quite sure what to make of it. Like, was it a ghost? Was it some kind of like weird astral projection of a worried mother? Was it, me being sleep deprived and a little bit anxious? I don't know, but, the message here is it's going to be okay.
Well, the one thing that, now, if I get this story correctly, you actually heard something mimicking a voice that you recognized.
Yeah.
This mimicking has been heard in haunted houses. It's been heard in the forest. My friend Mike actually heard my voice calling him into the forest one night when he...
Oh, Dave, I didn't even think about that possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. So this mimicking stuff, what do you make of it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense because, your friend might not go in the forest, but if he hears his buddy... it's totally interestingly, the last time that I was on, we talked about shape-shifting.
Yes.
And it's almost like a form of that shape-shifting trickery. It's a form of that trickery. And I think supernatural creatures in general, they have the ability, some of them certainly have the ability to perform this kind of trickery. So they can, convince you that there's someone else. It's actually happens, I think the most common time that happens for people in general, the general public, is the general public that uses the Ouija board, I should say. So our general public, right? The spaced out crowd, the midnight listeners, because you do get a lot of mimicry with the Ouija board. Right? Like that's the whole fear, is that what you're talking to isn't actually what you're talking to. So a lot of people, cringe at the idea of a Ouija board. And I think that that's one of the reasons, because unless you're very adept, which most people who are just like sitting around, sticking their fingers on a plastic planchette aren't necessarily, initiated in the higher path of psychic arts, right?
No, I fully agree with you. But one of the things that I find very, very freaky about this mimicking is it's so easy for somebody to follow through with what is going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be nothing... Like, if I heard my son's voice out in the forest,
you'd go.
I would. That first inclination is, I got to find my boy. Where is he? Until it clicks in that he's not with me or he's right beside me, because this whole David Politis thing of kids and people going missing out in the forest. Like when I'm out in the forest with my boy, he's never more than 10 feet away from me. Or somebody else, right? So it's kind of scary.
One more rep.
You know that feeling you get when things just magically work?
Like when my 300 gyms get restocked ahead of schedule?
Bingo! Your equipment supplier has Salesforce Customer 360. It unites teams around gym owners like you for wow moments like
When new weights come in my custom shade of blue.
and those gym towels you like
So plush, so thick.
with just one click.
Wow.
See how uniting your teams can help you wow customers at salesforce.com/customer 360.
Ah, Portugal. There's so much to do, but so little I feel like I have to do when we are here. Talk about a foreign feeling. When we are back from vacation, let's make sure we are still on track with our investment plans. You know, just in case we want to retire here.
With Vanguard advice, no matter what your retirement goals are, we can help you get there. That's the value of ownership. Visit Vanguard.com and explore Vanguard advice. All investing is subject to risk. Fund shareholders own the funds that own Vanguard. Services are provided by Vanguard Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor.
You know, it's almost like
It's really scary. Actually, I did not even think of the mimicry aspect of that because it really did sound like her voice.
right.
I mean, that's what I thought it was. So much so to the point that I felt like something was going on and I didn't want to interrupt, but that, you know, I knew she would come and talk to me if she needed me. And I just assumed we would go for a walk and she would tell me what happened the next day, you know?
Right.
So I really, yeah, I didn't really think about that, but that is a very, well, I don't know if it's super common of a phenomenon, but it's certainly a reported and occurring phenomenon to hear the voice of, you know, someone that shouldn't be there, but that you would go after.
Well,
So that's why you need a safe word.
well, you know, with my buddy Mike, I remember, you know, he got the hell out of there. He was freaked out because he was the only one there. He knew that I was at home preparing for the radio show. He knew I was at work. And, you know, because it happened around 7:45, and I get into my studio at 7:30 Pacific time. And so, I mean, he says it's very rare. Like, if you knew Mike, nothing scares this guy. But hearing my voice in the forest, asking him to come in and help him, or for him to come into the forest and help me, and I'm not there, that is right out of, you know,
right.
that is right out of the whole David Paulides thing, the missing 411. And I've told Mike many a times, and we still talk about it frequently. I said, you know what? I said, I don't think, if you would have followed that voice in, I said, I don't think we would have ever seen you again. I really don't believe that. I don't think he could have escaped that.
Yeah, well, you know, now that you say that, there was actually one other time to say breakfast for dinner. That's a safe word.
No.
It's breakfast.
I would sooner follow the voice in than eat breakfast foods for dinner.
So, yeah, there was actually another time, and it was several years before, and it actually really freaked me out because I was, you know, home and sleeping, and about 3 or 4 in the morning, I woke up because it sounded like someone was calling my name, standing outside my window, as if someone was on my lawn, saying my name. And it woke me up. And then my first thought was like, oh, I was just dreaming. And then my second thought was like, is there someone out on the lawn? And my third thought was, I am not going to check. I am just not going to check. Because I actually thought somebody was out there. And, you know, I mean, could be someone out there, you know, it's possible. But it was definitely disconcerting. And it was in the same room that I heard it, kind of in the same area. So, yeah, if I hear your voice, then I'll definitely...
Oh, I just couldn't imagine.
Definitely know it's wrong.
But you know what? It really makes me think, Varla, that a lot of these people who do go missing, okay, have followed a mimicked voice. And whatever is mimicking them is taking them to wherever they need to go, whether it's, you know, below earth, or inner Earth, whether it's into a portal, into a different time zone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the stuff that makes...
Or into another dimension, yeah.
Makes my brain hurt just thinking about it.
It's kind of like the fairy, the idea of like falling asleep and going into the, the fairy realm or something. Like you go into this alternate time, and there's something very, very tricky about it. And actually, I think that when we think about like a lot of the, kind of what people might think of as like warning stories to sort of keep kids around the campfire or whatever, there are a lot in this. And when you get into like really get heavy into archive folklore, you will see a lot of very, very dark and weird stories. And the idea of fairies being, these like lovely little beings or whatever is so far from what fairies are. And I'm not saying there's not good fairies, but there's a whole realm there that can completely trip you up and can lead you on a path that, you did not mean to go on. And, you'll end up carrying, like, there's all kinds of weird stories that are warning stories about, roaming the hills at night and not going into the domain that is, sacred to the fairies deliberately, because if you do, you're likely to get captured by them. But what would make you go willingly other than, just brazen disbelief? Somebody calling you, somebody beckoning you, asking for help, telling you it's going to be okay. Right. So even that idea of, there's a reason that the warnings are there, right? Those are the kind of things that it's not going to come for you in the, it's not going to come for you as like a demon. It's going to come for you as in the shape of, or the form of someone that you know and love, right? It's not going to be this like oozy, creepy thing that you see in movies. It's going to be, something whispering your name in the night.
I had it happen once here.
Child.
I had it happen once here. My boy was about, it was 2018. So he would have been just turning, he was still 4 because it was before kindergarten. And he was at his daycare, preschool daycare. And I happened to be on the phone with somebody who worked with SOR at that time. And she and I were on a conversation. I go downstairs towards where my studio is, and I hear this high-pitched laugh. When children laugh and squeal at the same time when they're young? Well, that childlike laugh and squeal. And I said to her, did you hear that? And she goes, was that your boy? I said, yeah. She goes, yeah, I heard it clearly. I said, we got a problem. And she goes, what's that? I said, well, he's not here. Oh. He's at daycare today, at preschool. And she goes, well, where's the preschool? And I said, it's about 10 minutes away. And I got to go pick him up here soon. And she was somebody that it didn't matter if she had an alien standing in front of her, she wouldn't believe it. She just was so skeptical. And I
love the way you said that.
Yeah. And anyways, she stuck on the phone with me the entire drive to go pick up my boy at preschool. Because she wanted to hear his voice, and she was like, oh my God, that's the voice we heard. I'm like, yeah.
And she heard it over the phone, even.
Yeah. That's how loud the scream / squeal was, or the laughter / squeal. Crazy.
I just adjusted. I know people that are listening can't see this, but people on YouTube can. I just adjusted my camera because I think our ledges line up. You see that?
Yours is about
like we have the same shelf. Wait, if I could just go like
Oh, now you're messing with
Oh, no, I messed it up.
it. Now you got it about an inch apart.
Uh,
Well, that works.
That's pretty close.
That's pretty close. That's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
I know, I never noticed that before. That's the crazy thing. All this time, I never noticed
All this
that.
time. We got about 90 seconds to go before we go to break here at the top of the hour here. When we return on Spaced Out Radio, Varla, I want to get into some really cool ghost stories or ghost legends with you. And, of course, we'll take audience questions as well. You know, but do you have a favorite ghost legend?
Well, actually, just right before this, I was watching this video of this like doll that moves in this haunted hotel, and I think it's in It's called the Jefferson Hotel, and it's somewhere in Texas. And it was recent footage where basically like a bunch of people, they went and rented like 4 rooms, and for some reason that is yet to be explained, there's a room that's completely decorated with dolls. And anyway, there's some footage of this doll, like kind of like peeking and moving. And actually so my point is that we can talk a little bit more about that crazy footage, but Robert the doll, which is a haunted doll. And I'd heard about Robert the doll when I was like, a kid, and I was able to actually go to this museum in Key West, I guess like a few years back, and hung out with Robert the doll. And that was pretty, I took a couple pictures, so yeah, creepy.
Awesome. We love it when Varla Ventura is here. She continues on with ghost stories on our cryptid world. VarlaVentura.net is her website. Stay tuned. More spooky stories with Vivacious Varla when we return on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear. Want to give a shout out to Gorgeous Ronnie over on Spreaker, along with Gorgeous Bill WD40. Thanks for joining us tonight, 416. Thanks for coming on in. And I'll be right back, Varley. Let's pass this over to Dirtith Filth.
Nice.
Who's shaking up the paint.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that, Dave. I had to go grab my mic. Or my mouse. It fell off the side of my chair. Nonetheless, finishing up this wonderful drawing here. It's the portrait of the Mothman. And it comes with a pizza slice. Because I'm fairly certain... Actually, one second here. I had the fridge open because I'm melting to death. But nonetheless, Mothman with pizza slice. But he's just going for regular pizza because usually he likes Chicago deep dish because he hangs out in Chicago all the time now. So that's why he's a fan of that. He also likes the Blackhawks. Bloody hells. Well, apparently I left some of my pens at work. Great. That's right. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's what that very real scale does. Drink my own pee while I'm at it. Good gods. So anyway, I hope everybody's having a good night. Mothman needs pizza. Yeah, he does. And Mothwoman. I drew a cartoon of them both on a pizza date before. Well, you really can't go wrong with pizza. You can put pretty much anything on it. Just about everything. Some people are going to argue about pineapple, but pineapple goes on pizza because reasons I can't talk about it, which would equate to the defense of pineapple on pizza. But I'm pretty sure most people can agree that pineapple on pizza is, ham and pineapple is pretty good. But pizza the next day seems to always be a little bit better than usual. Go Mothman with his Mothman-y dome and his big bulging eyes. Gonna go tackle a bridge somewhere. Just slop the water on, and the humidity's just through the roof. This page is still tacky and slimy. It's probably also some of the slime coming off of me as well. I don't know how people live in places where it's like 40 degrees or like 90 degrees Fahrenheit, whatever weird degrees is and such. It's just terrible. I'm going to move to Vostok in the Antarctic where it's like average summer temperatures minus 30. I'm good with that. I can deal with that. Spend all my wealth and fortunes on a good internet connection to draw cartoons and just be nice and cool all the time. Except there's that movie, The Thing. So I'd never trust anybody. It'd be like the weird cartoon drawing hermit of the Antarctic. That's something to strive for in life. No, oddly enough, I think the moth might be my like spiritual animal or something. I don't know if you get to pick it or whatever, but I just seem to see moths all over the place. I was at work the other day. I'm just wandering through one of the aisles, and this great big black moth just flies out of nowhere, clunks me right in the dome, and yeah, flew away. I was like, "What the Franklin?" Obviously, it was a little more foul language than that, but. There's usually these little tiny moths floating around my house all the time. I just call them Melvins. They all look the same, and they've been here forever. They don't seem to bother my plants. My clothes are still intact.
Hi, Dirtith Filth.
Hi, Dave. I was talking about the moths that fly around my house.
Hold on, I didn't hear you. I don't have my headphones on yet. All right. Bear with me.
Bearing with Dave.
All right. Very cool, dude. Very cool tonight. Little Mothman action there, eh?
Well, I was explaining it. I think Mothman is like my spiritual animal, or moths at least.
Of course. We got like...
Because I see them. Anyways.
We got like
Carry on, Dave.
20 or about 18 seconds. Big thank you to GTO, Thomas, and Smithy for the amazing super chats. Thank you so much for the love. It's a great way to support what we do on this show. Hello, Bombshell Bomber. How are you? Thanks for joining us. And Mr. Gnome, how you doing? Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to see you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We got 2 hours to go on the big show tonight. Glad you're here to enjoy with us. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Betiger is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, Varla Ventura is here for Our Cryptid World. She comes in near the end of each month to hang out with us and talk about all things weird and strange. You can find all of her books at any major bookstore or online at varlaventura.net. We're talking ghost stories tonight as Varla is here to get a little spooky with us. Right before the break, we were talking about, these weird voices, this mimicking of voices. And now we're going to shift over to some real spooky ghost stories. Varla, I know you have heard a few over the years. What's one that really sticks out with you?
So Robert the doll is one of the ones that really, I just think dolls are creepy, right? I think a lot of people agree. Like, dolls are creepy. I'm sure there's some very nice dolls out there, but most of the time, dolls are just straight up creepy. And Robert the doll is this legendary doll. Many people may have heard of him already, but he's basically like this kind of burlap sack of a doll. He was given to a little boy in 1904 in Key West. And since then, there have been reported movement of this doll, the doll being in different positions than where it was originally. Now, the little boy didn't necessarily have any problems with the doll, but there are some stories that go way back into early Key West history about this little boy finding things moved around in his room. So somehow this doll doesn't get passed down through generations, and he ends up in the attic of this little house in Key West where another couple moves in, and they hear like sound of like running feet and strange things above them at night in the attic. And eventually they go and unearth this doll, and someone comes in and says, oh, it belonged to this very prominent Key West resident named Otto, and this is like a really important like relic of his childhood. And so it was given to a museum, and there's all of these like legends around it. But one of the biggest legends is that if you cannot just photograph Robert the doll. If you photograph Robert,
one more rep.
You know that feeling you get when things just magically work?
Like when my 300 gyms get restocked ahead of schedule?
Bingo! Your equipment supplier has Salesforce Customer 360. It unites teams around gym owners like you for wow moments like
when new weights come in my custom shade of blue.
And those gym towels you liked?
So plush, so thick.
With just one click.
Wow.
See how uniting your teams can help you wow customers at salesforce.com/customer 360.
You want a realtor who's a local, who knows where the neighborhood has been and where it's going. You want a realtor that has the resources of a national brand and the connections to put those resources to work in South Mississippi. You want a realtor that matches the right buyer and the right seller, making the Secret Coast a little less secret. You want Powermark Properties, the mark of integrity for sellers and buyers on the Mississippi coast. Browse our listings at powermarkproperties.com.
the doll, you get like basically cursed. And what you have to do is walk up to this doll, which is kind of like I said, it's like this rotting burlap sack doll with like part of a face and like a kid's sailor uniform on. Like, it's really, really weird. And then you have to say, hi, Robert, may I, thank you for letting me be here. Can I please take your picture? Like, you basically have to like ask permission. And in this museum, which is the, I think it's the East Martello Museum in Key West, Robert the Doll's there. And like on the wall around Robert the Doll are all of these letters from people saying that they're so sorry that they didn't ask permission and that they just took pictures anyway and kind of blew the whole thing off because, they left in their car, they got in a car accident, or they left and like had some kind of investment go bad, like really kind of big things that affect people. It wasn't just like they walked out of there and stubbed their toe. So you see all of that and you just figure, well, I'm just going to ask permission before I take any photos. And so anyway, we kind of hung. So I went on like this ghost tour with my mom of Key West, which was awesome. And we kind of hung back. And so my mom starts talking to the docent, which is like anyone who's ever done a paranormal investigation understands that the docents are where it's at. They're unpaid volunteers that spend a lot of quiet hours in the place, and they are your go-to resource for real, true stories. Ask the volunteers. You go to an old theater, ask the old volunteer usher. You go to a museum, ask the docent that has been standing there for hours just to kind of like be in that space and give back. So anyway, this docent actually said, because we were like, so, have you ever had any anything happen with Robert the doll? And she told us several very interesting stories. She said, so Robert the doll now, or as of a couple years ago when I was there, is sitting in a tiny little chair, which is also creepy. And he's like pretty big. Like he's the size of maybe a 1-year-old. So it's not just like a teeny tiny little doll that you could stick in your pocket. It's like a kid, like a little tiny, like, rotting burlap baby. And it's pretty disturbing. And it's inside like a plexiglass kind of museum display. You need Robert the doll sitting in the middle. And the docent who had volunteered there for about, 6 or 7 years, told us that there had been many times that she came in and the doll was in a completely different position. And like she was the first person in there, or she was over in one corner of the museum doing a little dusting or talking to a person. And then she walked back over, especially when not a lot of people were in the museum, and Robert the doll would have moved. And she wasn't the only person that worked there that said that, because then I went over to the gift shop and found these great books written by a local Key West author all about Robert the doll and other Key West legends. And I was talking to the girl who worked at the gift shop, and she was like, oh yeah, I don't even like walking by that doll. I feel like every time I walk by it, something's different about it. So, it just, that has always stuck in my mind. And then being able to see it in person, it's just as horrifying in person as you might imagine a creepy, it's the creepiest doll. It puts all creepy dolls to shame. Like Chucky has nothing on this doll.
Well, one of the interesting parts about Robert the doll, if I'm correct, was he is in a locked case.
Yeah.
And somehow, one night, he got out of his case, because the next day when the docents came back, there was a little stuffed animal of a lion sitting in there with him. And the video cameras didn't show anybody unlocking his cage or his curio cabinet to get him out. And nobody knows how that little lion got in there.
Nope. And there's no foot. Actually, they talked about that one on the tour when they were kind of talking about the very first thing they said was, don't, before you take pictures. And they made the whole group say, hi, Robert. And you know what? That night, my mom got a little bit of food poisoning. I shouldn't laugh. She got a little bit of food poisoning. And the first thing she said to me was like, do you think it was Robert the doll? And I said, I don't think so, Mom. Like I said, did you say anything to it? Because actually I walked away. When I came back in, my mom was standing by Robert talking to him. And I was like, I don't know if you want to I don't know if you want to spend like extra time with the doll. And so she said, oh, Robert the doll gave me food poisoning. I'm like, I don't think so, Mom. I think it was just a bad fish,
Never know.
But there's all kinds of, you never know, actually. And I said, well, were you sincere in asking him? And did you take any pictures? And she said, yeah, but I kind of talked to him, it's like, I don't know. He just, she just kind of was standing there. Everybody else moved on to hear the rest of the tour. And she just it was like, no way, I'm staying by Robert the doll. This is like, I need to talk to this thing. So, yeah. And then there's just a lot of speculation. You know, the history of the doll goes back so far that a lot of this, you know, there's a lot of speculation about why this doll in particular was haunted, but there's really no, you know, concrete reason that, I mean, this doll was like this beloved gift. It was purchased in Germany for the little boy by, I can't remember if I think it was his father was in Germany, and in 1904 got it, brought it back to Key West, and gave it to, you know, his little son, and his son loved it. One thing I read in the book, the author's name escapes me right now, but I can check my library on the break. But one thing I read in the book was that they thought that the outfit that the doll is wearing, that Robert is wearing, actually belonged to Otto when he was a kid, which makes sense, right? And so then some people were kind of like, well, is it Otto just playing tricks on people because, you know, he grew up there and was sort of a big wig around town. But yeah, it was really amazing to see it in real life. And I do feel like if you spent enough time there, you would have an experience with them. 'Cause it's not just like, I don't know, you know, it's kind of like that museum of haunted objects that we're going to in May.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that. It's like there's things that, and I've had people, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, Dave, but I have had people give me things that they feel like are haunted or just like have really bad energy or just kind of like, you know, cursed weird things, like objects and statues, and never a freaking creepy doll. Actually, the only dolls I like are voodoo dolls.
Oh,
I don't get creeped out by voodoo dolls, so yeah.
You know, up here, just north of me, 2 hours, we have Mandy the Haunted Doll sitting in a museum.
Ooh.
Yeah, according to Ross Allison and David Weatherly, Mandy is number 8 out of the 10 most haunted dolls in the world. And
Okay.
what was really cool is back in 2018, when David and Robert, or David and Ross were up here, I actually got to take him to the museum to
meet Mandy.
But in 2015, Mandy almost killed my buddy Merle.
What?
Yeah. So Merle and the team he was working with at that time went in to investigate. And one of their people was put in a trance.
Oh.
And they couldn't move him or shake him for about 5-10 minutes. He was just kneeling on the ground, staring eye to eye to Mandy. Would not move.
Yikes.
And so they finally got him ready, and Mike, or Merle, went up and, you know, was kind of like, hey, I don't believe in you, or whatever he was saying at that time. I'm paraphrasing. And he
Mandy, sort of
he kind of
saying.
Yeah, he kind of got Mandy's attention. And he was staring at the doll, and then he kind of broke it off. And before the investigation starts, Merle likes to go out and have meditate and have a prayer and grab something to eat to kind of calm his stomach. But the problem was when he got to his truck, he doesn't remember anything that happened there. And when he was found, he was about 10 feet from the highway.
Oh,
right in front of the museum.
Jesus.
Right in front of the museum. And he was about 100 feet from his truck, 10 feet from the highway, about to walk onto the highway, until he was grabbed. And it was asked, hey, what are you doing out here? And he had no recollection of how he got there. And
God.
And then he just started violently getting ill and puking and all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's horrible. So, can you describe this doll?
She is a ceramic face doll.
No.
In a curio cabinet, but her face is all cracked.
Ugh.
Yeah. Mandy is very eerie. Very eerie. And she isn't, how can I put it? It's funny because so many psychics annually go into that museum saying that they have cleared Mandy of anything demonic or cursed. And no bloody way. No bloody way. She is still there. Now, I had an experience at that same museum. While we were there, I went into a different area of the museum, and there was this military outfit on a mannequin, and I walked by it, and I see on the wall this beautiful 15-foot by 15-foot patch quilt. And I'm staring at this quilt, and all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I see the mannequin lean over and stare right at me. And as I jumped, I went, whoa! And it stood back up.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
No moving mannequins. No.
So I ended up walking up to that mannequin, and I whispered right in its ear. I said, "I saw you." I said, "Come on."
Ooh.
I said, "We're face to face." I said, "We're face to face. Do it again. Do it again. Move. Right? Move." As I'm bringing up a picture for our YouTube crowd of Mandy, who is in a little knitted bonnet with a white dress on and white socks. And she's holding on to a little lamb doll. And her face, she's figured to be about 120 years old, 130 years old. And her ceramic face is all cracked. But yeah, she is not pleasant. She is not pleasant at all. And she will let you know her strength. She has no problem with that. But it's funny, Merle and his team, I told them what happened at that part of the museum with me and the soldier. And one of his members at the time was former military, ex-military. So he walked up to the doll and started ordering, talking about his rank and that the rank on the coat was like of a private. And apparently after a few minutes of doing this, all of a sudden the emergency security door, which was probably 75, 80 feet away, flies open and slams shut.
Ooh.
Like this spirit didn't like the way the dude was talking to him. So he's like, I'm out of here.
Wow.
Yeah. Love it.
Well, I'd be curious if that mannequin continues to move the next time you visit.
I haven't visited her in a couple years, but you never know what's going to happen. You never know. That's what I love about it. That's what I absolutely love about it, is you just never, ever know. And that's the beautiful part.
Yeah, I think I spent the night in this place in California that's called Preston Castle. And it's in this tiny little town called Ione, which is in sort of the southern part of the Sierra foothills. And it's like a kind of a, not a desolate town, but it's like at the time anyway, when I visited, it was like moderately thriving. Like things were like, there were industry around there, but it wasn't like, as it had been back in its heyday. But it's a nice little town. And one of the things that it had is this castle. They called it Preston Castle. And it's sort of like you drive into the town and you can see this thing no matter where you go. Well, it's actually an old boys reformatory. So it's not a castle at all, right? But it's just called Preston Castle. And basically, when you drive up to it, it's missing, like, the top 2 floors were actually never completed. So it's like this very kind of like Hogwartsy experience where you drive up to it, and there's literally, like, we got there at twilight and bats were flying out of the belfry, going in and out of the
nothing spooky about that.
No, it's all going to be fine, right? And we kind of entered into this I did it with my mom and 2 of my sisters. So we kind of like planned this whole thing. We rented like a bed and breakfast. We didn't really need to because we ended up staying the night in the castle. But of course we didn't sleep because a couple people in the group did get their sleeping bags and try and like sleep. They slept in like the front room near the door. And I was just like, no, we're not sleeping. We're going to wander this place. And so you walk in and, it's everything from a horror movie. There's peeling wallpaper. There's rotting floorboards. It's enormous. There's an infirmary with, an abandoned hospital bed and 1 wheelchair in the corner. And it's just sort of as it was left. And what it was it was a boys' reformatory, and it was for kids like, this will kill you, Dave. It was for kids, I think, as young as 8 up to 18.
Oh my!
And it was established like in the early 1900s. And so actually, what would happen is a lot of people during the Depression, during the Great Depression in the 20s, actually would bring their boys there. They would drop children off there because they couldn't care for them and they didn't have enough food for them. So they would drop them off, and sometimes they would come back from them and sometimes they wouldn't. And so it was a combination of like kids who had juvenile offenses, which back then could have been as simple as like, crossing the street wrong. Like, it was just like this whole gamut of like things you weren't supposed to do. And then you had, little boys that were totally abandoned by their family. So it's sort of an orphanage too. So to have that like kind of weird vibe.
Hold that thought, because we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Varla Ventura continues with the paranormal chatter here on Spaced Out Radio tonight as she joins us for our Cryptid World, which happens the end of each month. Hard to believe we're already through July. Almost. Yeah, we're having a good time tonight. VarlaVentura.net. You'll find our books there at any major bookstore across North America. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio when we return. All right, we're clear. That was a fast half hour.
Yeah, it was. Love that picture. It's beautiful.
Of the dirt filth there?
Yeah.
Look at Mothman. He went for triangle pizza instead of...
I was just going to say, is that pizza? I'm putting my glasses on so I can see. Yep, it's pizza.
Instead of the traditional square pizza from Chicago where he hangs out, he's going for the triangle. He's trying it out for the night, so...
That's some nice pepperoni slices you got on there.
So awesome.
That's the dirt filth right there.
I just figured he'd go for 3, just like generic pepperoni. He'd stop at like Little Caesars on his way out.
Yeah. Just Mothman going in for a slice.
Oh yeah. That's what it's all about. I'd totally chomp on that.
The Mothman or the pizza, Dave?
Pizza.
Well, the
It's
Mothman
so
and the
funny that
Lavender pizza.
It's funny that you brought up. Okay, so like I have never in my life seen a pizza cut in squares until I moved to the Midwest and actually went to Milwaukee, which this is like an hour outside of Chicago, and I was just like hanging out with some friends, and we ordered this pizza, and it was like we opened the box, and I was just like stunned. What was happening here? There's a lot of squares in here. Where are the triangles? I just never seen it like that before. It's not how we do it in on the coast. You know what I mean? I was just like, what is happening? But to each his own. It's all right.
It's kind of like when people eat like. They take a donut and they cut it in half. It's like, I'm not eating the whole donut, so I didn't eat the donut.
No.
It's like, you're eating the whole slice of pizza, Spanky. Just
one more rep.
You know that feeling you get when things just magically work?
Like when my 300 gyms get restocked ahead of schedule?
Bingo! Your equipment supplier has Salesforce Customer 360. It unites teams around gym owners like you for wow moments like
when new weights come in my custom shade of blue.
And those gym towels you liked?
So plush, so thick.
With just one click.
Wow.
See how uniting your teams can help you wow customers at salesforce.com/customer 360.
Here in the South, the summer heat can be brutal. But work on your property never ends. You need equipment that's fast, efficient, and versatile. That's exactly what you get with John Deere equipment from SunSouth. Like the easy-to-use John Deere 3025E tractor with loader starting at only $295 a month. So you'll beat the heat, plus you'll save time and money. For quality John Deere equipment, come see us at SunSouth. Equipment for those that do.
Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Expires July 30th, 2022.
Well, and you're going to eat the whole donut. Like, you cut it somehow thinking that you're not, and it just makes you want to eat the whole donut more.
Hey, just be careful, Varla. You're talking to a guy who eats corn on the cob with a fork and knife.
I like to eat it like in the cartoons.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a typewriter.
Total typewriter style.
Ding.
Hey, the Gong Show has just arrived. Welcome, Gong Show. And there's our porno sites again.
Yay!
Right.
We were waiting.
Yeah, we were waiting.
come on, Dave.
Oh,
I bet you cut your corn on the cob off.
Nope.
Do you use the drill bit with your DeWalt? And
Did you ever see that the Japanese girl do that? And she ended up ripping her hair out.
Nope, didn't see that.
That was well worth it. That was well worth it. Well worth it. Excuse me. Love it when the Gong Show is here. Hey, Jeff Steve Garvey's here. He'll hit a home run for you. Yeah, he will. Yeah, anybody wants to throw some smack down at Dirty Filth, just remember, he eats his corn on the cob with a fork and knife.
There's a fucking fork corn on the cob in Canada.
Why? Why do you do that?
I don't like the stuff getting stuck in my teeth.
It doesn't get stuck in your teeth when you do that?
No, because it can cut it off all nice and everything, and it works out pretty good.
Sure.
Wow, I thought the rest of the world is normal, but apparently the world is a weird place.
Yeah, he also eats chocolate bars with a fork and knife.
No, you do not.
Yeah, right, Dave. As if I could get a chocolate bar past Mrs. Filth. I come in the house, she's like, chocolate bar.
As if you're allowed chocolate.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
You stay in there and draw, and then you might get chocolate.
I bought a payday, and I was like, I'm just gonna leave this on the counter. And I come upstairs after writing some RPG notes, and Miss Phil's like, "Sugar, I ate your payday." Like, big smile on her face. I'm like, "Oh wow, thanks, really?" She's like, "Yeah,
straight up
love
ate
you."
it.
She didn't. She just says she loves me, but whatever.
Well, she told you about it. She could have just eaten it and not said anything.
Oh my!
Normally she'd probably blame the cats or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mess.
Yeah. How do you pronounce foyer, Varla?
Foyer.
Good.
Well, you can't say the word and then ask them how to pronounce it.
Because nobody pronounces it foyer. Nobody
foyer?
does. 5 seconds, guys. Hold on.
I've heard people say foyer. How do you say foliage? Foliage.
past the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for tuning us in. Dave Scott is my name. Hanging out with my UFO and Tacos t-shirt tonight. And want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight. Varla Ventura from varlaventura.net is here for our Cryptid World as she comes in, and we're talking ghost stories all night long. And you can buy any of her books by going to any major bookstore or, once again, on our website, varlaventura.net. Varla, welcome back.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome. Appreciate you being here. All right.
Love being here. Appreciate you having me.
We talked some haunted dolls last half hour. Where are we going now? Tell me a spooky story.
Well, I think last I left you, we were in the halls of the crumbling, rotting Preston Castle in Ione.
That's right.
So this place is really, truly, every time you think it can't possibly get any spookier, any more like stereotypical horror story setting, you discover something such as a pool in the basement, an empty swimming pool that was once full of bleach water, where as the boys would come in, they would shave their heads and dunk them in the pool to make sure they didn't have any lice or other critters on them. And then they would give them their, standard clothing. The communal shower room in which my sister and I actually both broke down in tears in that room. That was a really disturbing room. So you get in this place and you you're wandering the halls. You're escorted by a docent. But very, very in the very beginning, we had a docent bring us into this room, and she started talking about this little boy named William, and that she had seen his grave on the property. And I don't remember if she had made contact with this ghost or she saw the grave and then started looking, reaching out to the ghost. But she had experienced like sort of playful things, which can be an indication of like a child ghost. If there's sort of playful behavior, like dumping out things that are, really obvious, but kind of silly, like, dumping out sugar or, it's like leaving a toy in the middle of the room or a ball or something like that. And so this woman had multiple experiences like that where things had been moved around in the gift shop. And then she just sort of like felt this presence. And so she kind of said, is everyone in the group comfortable? We can try and invite a ghost to come and join us tonight. So, of course everyone was comfortable with that. And I mean, my family made up half the group. So we were definitely comfortable with that. And we, so she starts asking William to come and visit. And she actually gives my mom these kind of like dowsing rods, and my mom's sort of walking around with these dowsing rods. And, at some point, and we were allowed to take pictures, but you're kind of supposed to keep your flash off or whatever. And she actually encouraged us. She said, just take a lot of pictures, even if you don't see anything, because a lot of times things show up later. And so everybody's calling like William or whatever. And I'm kind of sitting with like, of course, again, horror movie fail 101. Like my back is kind of to the door, the empty hall of creepy blackness and peeling wallpaper, floral wallpaper behind me. It was like the administrative area. And, there's, like a creepy boiler kind of, around the corner. And it's just like, it's all the horror movies combined in this place. it's also incredibly beautiful. Like it's everything about it. It's this building that was built in, I think, like 1908, and there's incredible woodwork and these, rounded alcoves with gorgeous bay windows. And so I kind of get this like, creepy feeling. And of course, people are talking about inviting this like ghost and whatever, this creepy feeling. And I just turn and I just sort of like snap a bunch of pictures of like the doorway behind me. And I just turn back to the group and like try and stay focused. And later when we developed those pictures, because it wasn't a phone, it was several years ago. So it was before, I didn't have a flip phone, but my camera phone wasn't like something I would use. So I had just like a little digital camera. And later I put them on my computer and I saw this shape right at the level of about, like a 8 or 9-year-old boy that would have been in the doorway. And it was sort of an orby thing. But if you looked at it closely, you could kind of see the silhouette of a boy. And so that was just like how we kicked the evening off. And you spent literally, I think we got there at, 7 or 8 in the evening, and you roam that castle until 4 in the morning when they let you go. Obviously, you can leave anytime you want, but you don't want to leave.
So it's not like Hotel California.
Right. It's not quite like that, And, I did stand in the doorway and say, please bring me my wine. And they said that they hadn't had that spirit there since 1969.
Very nice.
This is not a prank. And then the other thing that happened that night, among several other kind of small things, but one of the things that happened is in the infirmary, which is just so disturbing, old hospital bed, and it's sort of painted white, and it's just got that tuberculosis vibe. And my sister was like right next to me, and she kind of got like super stock still. And I looked at her and I was like, what just happened? I know something just happened. She said, something just pulled my hair. And I was like, okay. And then in my mind, I'm thinking like, pull my hair. But it didn't. And then we just, other things that happened is my mom kind of had an experience. My mom is like this total, like the ultimate original rebel. And, like I said, she stayed behind and was like talking to Robert the doll. So if the tour moves on, I guarantee you the straggler is my mom. And, she's sort of like found her way into the hidden library, and it's just kind of like hanging out there, seeing if anything's in there. And so she said she had something kind of like, she thought she heard a voice. And went into the room. Again, all of these things are like horror story elements, but they're all in real life. You too can have this experience. I believe they still do these overnight tours at Preston Castle. You just have to, you have to book ahead, and all the money goes to the restoration of the castle because the castle's kind of, crumbling. And it's a beautiful, it's like a beautiful brownstone sort of grand mansion. But that there's a lot of history of people having experiences there, and it's not particularly surprising. But then here is the kicker, straight out of Stephen King. Bordering this abandoned, crumbling mansion full of strange, ghosty orbs, there's a 12-foot tall chain link fence with 6 feet of razor wire on top, because the actual penitentiary is just on the other side of that fence. So I was like, no way I'm sleeping. I am definitely more scared of what's on the other side of that fence than what could possibly be hiding beneath the floorboards in this place. So, yeah.
I want to ask you regarding, spooky places, museums, or anything like that. We talked about, not, asking Robert the doll permission for taking his photo. I'm curious, what happens if you, paranormally speaking, what can happen if you, say, defile a place? I'll give you an example. There's a paranormal team here in British Columbia that thinks it's their duty and their sovereign right to change things. Doesn't matter what the location is or not. And at one museum here in BC, a long time ago, they don't know who put it on there, but it's in my intro on YouTube. If you ever watch that video, it's like of a devil or a demon on there. And this paranormal team actually painted over that. They brought paint into the museum without permission, and they painted over it. What type of...
Why?
Because that's what they feel their duty is.
You know what that reminds me of? Born-again Christians.
Oh, my.
Honestly, yeah, no. Like, just taking that... I have no problem with Christians, but there are certain, like, born-again Christians that impose their beliefs because they think it's within their right to save you. And you see that on I'm not going to pick on Christians tonight, but you see it on all levels of the spectrum, actually. You see it in the paranormal community. You see it in the psychic and new age community where, if someone feels that it's their right or their duty to liberate a place or to like heal a place or whatever, which is fine, right? If you really feel like that's your duty. Actually, it's not fine. That's my whole point. It's not fine, because I remember is this the same museum where someone went in and they exorcised the spirit that had been there?
They do
so
that.
Same group?
Same group.
Yeah. Like, what are the paranormal repercussions of that? I mean, honestly, it's just disappointing because it shows a gross misunderstanding of what the paranormal could possibly be. It's like you missed the memo, right? You're not supposed to banish it and erase it. You're not here to like shield the world from the paranormal. If you can actually have experiences, your duty is to have those experiences and like look into that other side and hopefully be able to share that experience with other people for better or for worse, not erase it as if it never happened. So, I mean, what are we know like there's, I don't know. I mean, I knew I'm a cemetery gal, as you know, and there was some defiling of a gravestone in one of my favorite cemeteries. And I left a note. And it was actually this, like, I painted this long sort of poetic scroll and I left it on the grave. And it was basically like a poetic, I wouldn't say curse, but a calling the person out. Like, why would you take something from this place when you come here? I don't even remember, but guess what happened? It got returned. That statue was returned. And later I found out who it was and they apologized and they said, we saw your note and then we felt really bad. And we never wanted to tell you because we knew you wouldn't be our friend anymore. So whatever, teenagers doing stupid stuff.
Yeah, but you know what? I think it's different than when you get the God-given right as a paranormal investigator to just think that you can go into a location and do whatever you want. I mean, look, I think it gives the paranormal a bad name. I really do.
It does.
I mean,
it does.
There are some incredible researchers in the paranormal world, but it's the ones who do things like that really are troublesome for bringing respect and recognition to a real community that the mainstream still doesn't take very seriously.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And actually, when we were in Preston Castle, a certain very popular ghost paranormal investigation show had come there like maybe 3 weeks before that or a month before that. And the docents had no good words about them. And one of the things that really made them mad is that they came into this like historic place And, they put tape down to like mark where they were going to take the shots and stuff. And they left it. They just left their X on the floor in like stupid, like gross tape, It's like, what are you doing? You don't walk into you don't walk on historic floorboards and put tape down and not remove it when you go. Are you going to flush the toilet on your way out or what? It's just like, so the docents were not particularly pleased with that. And, there's definitely paranormal investigators out there that do give paranormal a bad name. They make it seem as if it's all about confrontation. And it's all about, okay, what really annoys me about it actually, Dave, is the idea that we as mortal physical humans are better somehow. And so it's like putting the paranormal in its place. Like, you can't mess with me, ghost, And now we advise that, right? If you're really troubled by a ghost, it might be a good idea to engage in a conversation such as, you're scaring me. I see you, I hear you, but you're scaring me, or you're scaring my child. That's something that I advise frequently when parents come to me and it's like, my kid's freaked out. Your child's scared. You want to protect them, but you also don't want to completely dismiss their experience, because then it's going to make them never tell you again. And they're going to question their own, they're going to question whether or not they can tell you anything. Right.
Very true.
So, right. We want the open dialogue that includes the paranormal, but the idea that we have somehow to conquer it, and actually the supernatural in general, right? It's like that we have to conquer it. And it's just irritating because we don't have to conquer it. All we have to do is pay attention and be thankful that if we're attracted to the paranormal, it's very likely because we have some kind of ability to communicate, which, not everybody does. And maybe that's it right there, Dave. Maybe the people that shout the loudest are the ones that really don't have any abilities.
Could be. Could very well be.
Could be.
We got like 6 minutes left with you tonight on this show. I want to ask you, poltergeists. Poltergeists. Do you think poltergeists are created by individuals who are troubled, or do you think they're their own entity?
I definitely think they're their own entity, and I just think they're attracted to certain...
Rodent-proof your home with Excluder. Excluder permanently seals openings to keep pests out without harmful chemicals. Lock out rodents for good. Go to buyexcluder.com. That's BUYXCLUDER.com.
Energies. So that could be someone who's like really in a vulnerable place. Not saying a vulnerable person or a weak person, but a person who's in a vulnerable place emotionally. They may be grieving. They may have gone through something really traumatic. You see a lot of reports of teenagers and poltergeists, and think about it. Puberty is kind of traumatic. Like, being a teenager is kind of traumatic. There's just a lot of things happening that you have no control over. And so I do think that like certain entities are attracted to certain kinds of people and energy. So I think that, poltergeists are definitely on the, if you have like the full spectrum of ghosts, they're on the less desired visitor for people because, they're thought to be quite chaotic and kind of like, whirl things around. But I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of accounts in some old fairy and folklore of, banshees running through a house and smashing dishes and moving things, and goblins pinching kids in the night. And so kind of brings us back to something that we talk about frequently, Dave, which is like, was it a goblin in 1720 and it's a poltergeist today? Is it the same thing, different century, different words? But I definitely think poltergeist. I have not actually ever had a poltergeist. All of my parents, you haven't, yeah. But of course, I know people that have had very intense experiences and have had to move because of it. Which, you know, and I completely. I don't know why I haven't, but some of my paranormal experiences are a little bit like ooky or spooky, but I've had really a pretty positive,
experience,
relationship with the paranormal. Yeah.
All right. We got 3 minutes left. Let's get to Eddie's question here. Varla, if you were granted the answer to any of life's mysteries, what would it be?
Is there life after death?
Of course you would.
And what does it look like? Yeah.
What
that's
doth
so
it
fitting
look
for
like?
what we're talking about, right?
What doth it look like?
What doth it be? What is beyond the veil? You know, because if you could answer that question, then you would know what a ghost really is. But I think it's interesting because there's so many different beliefs cross-culturally around the world about what happens after death. And one of the most interesting theories I heard was in an anthropology class years ago. And it was the idea that we became obsessed with life after death as a culture, and as humans, as Homo sapiens, when someone we love fell off the cliff and they didn't come back. And we began to understand that, that they weren't going to talk or hunt or do anything with us. And as that happened, we had to sort of resolve that mystery. So that was the beginning of, trying to say what was beyond that great veil.
Varla, 90 seconds to go. Tell everybody where they can find your books and your information.
Yeah, well, if you liked tonight's topic, you may enjoy my book, Paranormal Parlor. And that's all about the history of seances and ghosts and haunted places. But you can find me at varlaventura.net. That's where, .net. That's where it's at. Screw.com. It's all about .net. And then you can find me there and occasionally on Facebook, and every once a month I look on Instagram, so that's where you'll find me. But I'm around. Yeah.
Well, that's how
you can buy a cool mug. You can buy a cool Varla Ventura mug, and
I have one.
We can toast together.
I have never ever used the mug that you sent me.
Oh, it's a great mug.
I know.
Held up really well.
The problem is my daughter commandeered it.
Oh, that's flattering.
Yeah. So,
that's flattering. Oh, I'm so happy to hear
when
that.
When she moved out, she took it with her.
Yay! That's so great. That's the best.
You got that right.
The best. That's like finding out someone stole your book from the bookstore, That's just awesome.
Yeah. Of course, Varla, it's always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much. We love you so much around here, and keep up the great work, and we'll talk to you next month.
Yep. Sounds good, Dave. All right.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So enthusiastic. Yeah, bye. Get the hell out of here.
Bye.
Coming up
love
next.
You. Thank you.
Swamp Dweller's going to be here with us, telling us another spooky story. And then Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio brings in the Cryptid Report. We have 1 hour to go on Spaced Out Radio. Let's make it rock together, shall we? Love you, my friend.
Love you too.
Thank you so much. You're the best.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Bye, Varla Ventura.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye, Varla.
Bye, Filth.
Take care. Bye-bye. That's old Varla Ventura. Looking good, Filth. You done for the night?
Yeah, I can't really just start another drawing halfway through. It's
well, you continue that. I'm going to take a bathroom break. I'll bring you up here. You got full screen. Hi, Stephen Finnegan in the UK. Good morning to you.
Then. How about that?
I didn't hear a word you said. I took my headphones off.
Well, it's good for you, Dave.
Yeah. This is on you now, Filth. I'm going away.
Good. Stuck with dirty filth until Dave comes back for his whatever he's doing. I guess everybody can quick drawing here. Until Dave gets back, but I'm gonna do some stuff. I don't like that pencil. But we're gonna use it anyways. That's the one I picked up. So usually I do let's just do some exercises before the show, Jim. They can turn into a monster of some sort. Sharp teeth, blunt teeth, I don't know. Sasquatch type head. Maybe it's a ghost. It's a ghost flipping people off. That's what it is. Oh boy. Grab the old water container. I wasn't expecting to do more water container in action. Let's see if we can whip this up. And in the time it takes Dave to go for a pee, it's a ghost flipping people off. He's like, I don't know, it's weird. It's a ghost. I could just watch you anytime. Sitting there in the morning on the toilet, reading the newspaper, going for a steamer. Ghost is watching you. You could be those guys driving their crappy motorbikes down the street, excessive speeds. Soon enough, dead. You're a ghost. Look at him. He almost looks like a blue banana. Unless, though, we'll do this up quick. Look at that. Middle finger up. I don't know. Chilling with ghosts. Gentry's probably got like 17 ghosts at her house. I don't have a yellow hand. Yes, we do. So the secret is to not let the yellow touch the blue, otherwise he'll have green eyeballs. But that should be good. That should be good right there. No, that'll be fine. I know this paper very well. This ghost is basically the guy from Falling Down. He's like, I can't get breakfast. I'm the bad guy. Let's give him a briefcase up in the top corner as well. Briefcase. And super deluxe grumpy. Super deluxe grumpy ghost. I don't know if this pen is going to work or not. Let's try it out. We don't know. We don't care. We're going with it. Let's make it normal. As we always do. Super deluxe grumpy ghost. Ooh. I don't think I'll have enough space for that. We'll just put it as super grump. Oh no, he's bleeding into himself. Look at that bloody eyeball. Super ghost. Alright. Might be able to get that in before Dave gets back. Hopefully one of his dogs ran off. Chase Sasquatch. Get a couple extra seconds here. It's not slimy enough. This isn't even watercolor paper. This is just the old sketchbook we're sliming into. That's not right enough. Whatever. Next. On to Spaced Out Radio Green. Let's suck her up right there.
All right, Dirtus. I'm back. We're going to head to the swamp here. Hi, Super
Okay.
Duke. We'll get to Super Duke in a minute. Filth will put you on mute. Put me up here. And here we go. Oh, sorry, we got 25 seconds. I was all panicky there for a second. Thank you to Smithy, GTO, Thomas, Eddie ×2 for the super chats. Don't forget, everyone, give us a thumbs up or thumbs down and hit subscribe if you're new. The algorithms really work with us. Hey, Body Tech. Hi, Super Quest. How you doing? Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us tonight, Clam? Baedeker. Baedeker is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bubblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. All right, let's head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller has another spooky story for us. Let's make it a good one, shall we?
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. This is my first-hand story. I hope you enjoy it, as it is all true. This happened in Kentucky about a year and a half ago, somewhere in the summer of 2019. Back when my wife and I were foster parents, and we had a sibling group of children in our home. One typical week during the summer, one of the little boys screamed in fear in the night. We jumped up as fast as we could and ran to his room. We turned the light on, and we said, "What's going on, son?" He replied, "There was a man in my window. He was waving at me, but I didn't wave back." Knowing that this room backed up to my backyard, and that I had 2 big pit bulls in the back, I knew that there was no human intruder, because my dogs would have been more than alerted, as they were to every time the wind would blow, or even a falling leaf. They would tear up anything that moved, basically. Not thinking much of anything about it, because he was just a little 5-year-old boy, and it could easily have just been a bad dream, we told him to holler if he saw him again, or if he needed us, and that we would be right in the other room. We left the hallway light on and went back to our beds. Not much was mentioned of it again, until a couple of days later, when I'm sure I saw exactly what he could have been talking about. Although we were drinking and having a good time, no matter how many times I replayed this situation in my head, it just never seems to be discredited. I cannot make myself unsee it, and I cannot tell myself it did not happen, because it plain and simply did happen, and it was not just me who witnessed this. My wife and my friend who was visiting us from about an hour away saw the same thing as well. Just like anybody else in the summer, we enjoyed a few beers, listening to music, smoking, and overall just having a fun time. One typical warm summer Kentucky night. We had our friends over, and we were all enjoying a nice quiet evening. We cooked out earlier in the day and had a few beers. We were in our bedroom listening to music and standing around talking and enjoying each other's company. My wife stepped out of the room for a moment, leaving me and Selena left in the room talking and enjoying the music. I stand up from my bed and I look towards the window, which we had opened just a little bit with the screen down, but the blinds were up so we could see straight through to the outside, which was to the front of my house towards the street, in which I meant to mention I live in a neighborhood in a metro city, not a small town or anything. Just out of observance, I saw something that catches my eye and causes me to focus on the window just a bit harder. I noticed two figures. Now the windows are about 6 feet away from me at this point, so I inch closer to it to see if my eyes are deceiving me, in which it does nothing but really concrete what I was seeing was real. These creatures, these beings, whatever they were not a part of my imagination. I turned around towards my friend and simply said, "Hey, look." She stood up with me, and as we approached the window, it was clear as day that these things had stood up. What was now in front of me is what I could only recognize as two slim gray aliens. One seemed to be taller than the other, and there seemed to be small patches of hair on their head. It was really hard for my brain to process these things as we walked closer, almost touching the window because of how shocked we were and how mind-boggled we were. I mean, we were literally mind-blown. We were too in shock to even be scared at that moment. It took a few moments to even snap back into non-shock state to where we could even react. We looked at each other in complete disbelief, then looked back at the window. At that moment, one of the creatures moved their head in just a readjusting motion, which really sent us into a frenzy and scared us completely to death. We turned around and took off running towards the bed like children. We let out a scream, grabbed the blanket, and threw it over our heads. My wife came in concerned with the noise. We yelled to look out the window, but both figures were now long gone. With the panic and fear of the moment settled, my wife and I quickly ran outside, but of course there was nothing. The oddest thing about this is the shadows sit about 10 feet up from the ground. If it was just a person, they would have had to have been on a ladder, or at least be 15 feet tall. There's just no way there was someone standing there. But also, there's just no doubt that there was some sort of physical being there.
The Swamp Dweller spooking us out once again on Spaced Out Radio. Yes, Mr. Swamp Dweller is here every Monday through Friday night with another spooky story. You can get a hold of him if you have one by going to youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. You can type out your own story. He will read it. He is that kind of dude. He's pretty awesome that way. We love him around here and sharing his spooky stories with you. All right, speaking of spooky, it's time to hit up Super Duke for World Bigfoot Radio and tonight's Cryptid Report. All right, let's get right to it while I still have a voice. Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio is here. How you doing, buddy?
Hanging in there, Dave. Glad to see you've still got a voice. You made it to the end of the week. You were sounding a whole lot like Alex Jones a couple days ago there.
Oh, don't insult me. Don't insult me like that. That hurts my feelings.
You had that awesome gravelly voice going. Like you had been gargling with gravel pits first thing in the morning.
Oh, my goodness. That just hurts. That just hurts. Yeah, I know the feeling, though, buddy. I know the feeling. It is good to see you again. And we talked to you a couple of nights ago, and you know, here we are again where we're going to get into some cryptid stuff. But I know you're a rocker, man. You're a rocker at heart, and I'll tell you, I'm still pretty darn stoked over last night. Avatar, Swedish metal band in Vancouver, took my son to the show, his first ever concert, and what a night, buddy. What a night.
Yeah, I saw some of the video you were showing earlier. That looked like a blast and super fun to have your kid there and he's headbanging and just getting into
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And you're like, yeah, reminds me of when I was a kid a million
Oh,
years
hell
ago.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna show this again because it's just too fun not to show. It's a video of my son for those on Radioland. It's a video of my son literally, standing at the front of the stage here and just absolutely headbanging to one of his favorite guitarists, Tim Orstrom, who's got just a beautiful mane, and he's like just pounding his hair. And here's my son, like, yeah, and then he throws his horns up. Oh. Makes a father proud. Totally makes a father proud. Love that. It's so nice I'm going to play it twice. Oh.
Yeah, that guitar player, for the people that aren't seeing the actual video feed, is merging on Metallica neck brace territory for how much hair flipping and head banging this guy's doing.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty epic.
Oh, yeah. You have to have good hair in order to be able to do that, though. I don't have that. He's got better hair than me.
Yeah, he's flinging it around like it's a wet mop. That's going wherever he wants it.
Yeah, and if you watch Avatar, the other guitarists will do it in sync with them, so they're all doing it together at the same time. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, hey, it's what we do around here. Head bang it up, man. Head bang it up.
Hot tip from I was a music critic for a long time. There's actually one of the few bands on earth that I'm interested in seeing right now is right up there in British Columbia. And they're a power metal band called Unleash the Archers. And if you want a good laugh, go check out their video on YouTube called Dawn of Ages, where they all go out camping and get kidnapped by Bigfoot and are forced to play a concert in his cave. I kid you not.
No.
Yes, it's awesome.
What is it called?
Check it out. It's called Dawn of Ages. It's by a band called Unleash the Archers. And, yep, they go camping and Bigfoot mugs all of them, takes them hostage, and then makes them play a concert in his cave so he'll release them.
Oh, my gosh.
And these guys, they're an incredibly good band, too. But they've got a good sense of humor. I'm pretty sure they play D&D.
Oh, my gosh.
But anyway, getting to the cryptid reports, when you were talking earlier about you were doing the little segment there with Swamp Dweller, and he was talking about something 15 feet tall staring in the windows. There was just a recent report out of the Mark Twain National Forest of somebody over there that's seeing mountain giants apparently repeatedly, because whatever it is, it's in the 15-foot range. And they actually marked some of the trees and stuff where they were seeing these things going by. So the next time they'd see it go by, they'd have a good gauge on how tall these things were. And they were really pretty horrified at how tall these things actually were. So this isn't just like one lone sighting. They're frequenting this area, and this one observer has seen them repeatedly. So I'm going to try and get a hold of this person and see if I can talk to him more about this, because, of course, that's pretty creepy, freaky stuff right there.
That is awesome. Duke, as we're heading into another weekend here, the summer's getting warmer and people are getting out in the forest more. They're camping, and, what should they do, in order to kind of hang out and maybe have an experience?
Well, pretty much the same thing Robin McRae or some of the other people would tell you. You just want to go to an area where, there's a good chance that they're around. You can figure that out from, has there been any reports there? Do a lot of people go there? If there's a lot of people going there, they're probably not around. Too much human traffic. Another thing is water, food sources, what time of the year. Some areas will be hanging around in certain seasons and other ones they won't, because it's the readily availability of food. Some areas they'll be in when the berries are ripe and they won't be there otherwise, or when the fish are running in the rivers and they won't be there otherwise. So that kind of stuff all plays into it. But it's basically a don't go out there with the intention so much of finding them or anything, or making lots of calls like certain TV shows do that are completely ineffective. Just go out there and camp. And like we're showing in the video right now, Bigfoot will come up and mug you and haul you out to his cave.
Oh, this is just great. This is just
it gets way better, Dave. It gets way better. The music is excellent too, so make sure to listen to it at some point.
Well, I can't.
That's their drummer. Their drummer's a machine. This guy's amazing.
I can't play the music because of
No, I know you can't on the radio, but when you have a chance later, go back and check it out.
Oh my God,
these guys are absolutely amazing. Oh, he's about to get the frying pan to the face here. Yep.
Oh yeah, Sasquatch throwing a little frying pan to the face.
Now she's the only one that's out there actually looking for Sasquatch. That's the vocalist. So, of course, that's the last one he captures, the one that's actually looking for him.
Oh, my goodness. This is just great. This is just great.
It's good. It is indeed good humor. Well, while everybody is enjoying this on the screen here, let me read you guys a couple interesting reports. And these ones are from the father of cryptozoology, Ivan T. Sanderson, and his book, Abominable Snowmen, Legend Come to Life. And this book is so ancient, it was released the same year I was born. So it's older than dirt. Came out in the Middle Ages at some point. So he's got a couple stories from up there near where Dave lives. This one he got from Mr. J.W. Burns, goes as follows, and comes from a local named Charlie Victor, resident of Chilliwack on the Lower Fraser.
Right by my old house.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, now they got him in the cave. He's showing him what he wants him to do. Well, anyway, back to the story. Charlie says, the first time I came to know about these people, and he's referring to the Sasquatches, I did not see anybody. 3 young men and myself were picking salmon berries on a rocky mountain slope 5 or 6 miles from the old town of Yale. In our search for berries, we suddenly stumbled upon a large opening in the side of the mountain. This discovery greatly surprised all of us, for we knew every foot of the mountain and never knew nor heard there was a cave in the vicinity. Outside the mouth of the cave, there was an enormous boulder. We peered into the cavity but couldn't see anything. We gathered some pitchwood, lighted it, and began to explore. But before we got very far from the entrance of the cave, we came upon a sort of a stone house or enclosure inside the cave. It was a crude affair. We couldn't make a thorough examination, for our pitchwood kept going out. We left intending to return in a couple days and go on exploring. Now, the old Native Americans nearby, to whom we told the story of our discovery, warned us not to venture near the cave again, for it was surely occupied by a Sasquatch. That was the first time I heard about the hairy men that inhabit the mountains. We, however, disregarded the advice of the old man and sneaked off to explore the cave. But to our great disappointment, upon arrival, we found the gigantic boulder had been rolled back into the mouth of the cave and was fitting in place so nicely that you might suppose it had been made for that purpose. And story number 2, this one is actually a signed affidavit from I.W. Rowe on the city of Edmonton, the province of Alberta, on the 26th day of August, A.D. 1957. He says, ever since I was a small boy in the forests of Michigan, I have studied the lives and habits of wild animals. Later, when I supported my family in northern Alberta by hunting and trapping, I spent many hours just observing the wild things. They fascinated me. The most incredible experience I have ever had with a wild creature occurred near a little place called Tête Jaune Caché, BC, probably mispronounced it, about 80 miles west of Jasper, Alberta. I had been working on the highway near this place for about 2 years. In October 1955, I decided to climb 5 miles up Mica Mountain to an old deserted mine, just for something to do. I came inside of the mine about 3 o'clock in the afternoon after an easy climb. I had just come out of a patch of low brush into a clearing when I saw what I thought was a grizzly bear in the brush on the other side. I had shot a grizzly near that spot the year before. This one was only about 75 yards away, but I didn't want to shoot it, for I had no way of getting it out. So I sat down on a small rock and watched with my rifle in my hand. I could just see part of the animal's head and the top of one shoulder. A moment later, it raised up and stepped out into the opening. Then I saw it wasn't a bear. This, to the best of my recollection, is what the creature looked like and how it acted as it came across the clearing directly towards me. My first impression was of a huge man, about 6 feet tall, almost 3 feet wide, and probably weighing near 300 pounds. It was covered from head to foot with dark brown silver-tipped hair. But as it came closer, I saw by its breast that it was female, and yet its torso was not curved like a human female's. Its broad frame was straight from shoulder to hip. Its arms were much thicker than a man's arms and longer, reaching almost to its knees. Its feet were broader proportionately than a man's, about 5 inches wide to the front and tapering to much thinner heels. When it walked, it placed the heel of its foot down first, and I could see the gray-brown skin or hide on the soles of its feet. And that's an important detail because it matches up with Albert Ostman's detail of the Ostman pads on the feet of the ones he was taken captive by. He continues, it came to the edge of the bush I was hiding in within 20 feet of me and squatted down on its haunches. 20 feet. Reaching out its hands, it pulled the branches of bushes toward it and stripped the leaves with its teeth. Its lips curled flexibly around the leaves as it ate. I was close enough to see that its teeth were white and even. The head was higher at the back than at the front. The nose was broad and flat. The lips and chin protruded farther than its nose, but the hair that covered it, leaving bare only the parts of the face around the mouth, nose, and ears, made it resemble an animal as much as a human. None of this hair, even on the back of the head, was longer than an inch, and that on its face was much shorter. Its ears were shaped like a human's ears, but its eyes were small and black like a bear's. And its neck also was inhuman, thicker and shorter than any man's I have ever seen. As I watched this creature, I wondered if some movie company was making a film in this place, and that what I saw was an actor made up to look partly human, partly animal. But as I observed it more, I decided it would be impossible to fake such a specimen, and keeping in mind this is 1955. Anyway, I learned later there was no such company near that area, nor in fact did anyone live up Micah Mountain, according to the people who lived in the nearby area. Finally, the wild thing must have got my scent, for it looked directly at me through an opening in the brush. A look of amazement crossed its face. It looked so comical at that moment I had to grin. Still in a crouched position, it backed up 3 or 4 short steps, then straightened up to its full height and started to walk rapidly back the way it had came. For a moment it watched me over its shoulder as it went, not exactly afraid, but as though it wanted no contact with anything strange. The thought came to me that if I shot it, I would possibly have a specimen of great interest to scientists the world over. I had heard stories about the Sasquatch, the giant hairy Indians that live in the legends of the Indians of British Columbia, and also many claim are still, in fact, alive today. Maybe this was a Sasquatch, I told myself. I leveled my rifle. The creature was still walking rapidly away, again turning its head to look in my direction. I lowered the rifle. Although I called the creature it, I felt now that it was a human being, and I knew I could never forgive myself if I killed it. Just as it came to the other patch of brush, it threw its head back and made a peculiar noise that seemed to be half laugh and half language, and which I can only describe as a kind of a whinny. Then it walked from the small brush into a stand of lodgepole pines. I stepped out into the opening and looked across a small ridge just beyond the pine to see if I could see it again. It came out of the ridge a couple of 100 yards away from me, tipped its head back again, and again emitted the only sound I had heard it make. But what this half-laugh, half-language was meant to convey, I do not know. It disappeared then, and I never saw it again. I wanted to find out if it lived on vegetation entirely or ate meat as well, so I went down and looked for signs. I found it, and he's talking about droppings. Losing my place here. In 5 different places, and although I examined it thoroughly, could find no hair or shells or bugs or insects, so I believe this one was strictly eating a vegetarian diet. I found one place where it had slept for a couple of nights under a tree. Now, the nights were cool up in the mountain at this time of the year especially, and yet it had not used a fire. I found no signs that it possessed even the simplest of tools, nor did I find any signs that it had a single companion while in this place. Whether this creature was a Sasquatch, I do not know. It will always remain a mystery to me unless another one is found. And he concludes, I hereby declare the above statement to be in every part true, to the best of my powers of observation and recollection. Signed, William Rowe, 1955.
Great stories tonight, Super Duke. Appreciate that. Where can everybody find World Bigfoot Radio? We got 10 seconds.
Get over to YouTube, World Bigfoot Radio on YouTube. You can find me also on BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey.
Perfect. And you froze up right at the exact same time that we needed you. Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. Coming up next is Dave 101. And we got Shirky Poo's news. Stay tuned. Lots more to come on Spaced Out Radio. Rock and roll, Super Duke.
Yeah, now you got an awesome power metal band up there in BC that you can check out. And I'll send you a couple links to their best videos on MeWe, so you can check those out first. These guys are just machines. Wait till you see this one studio, the recording that they did, and it's just like, oh my God, I can't believe humans can even play this. And plus, they're making it look easy, of course.
Hey, check out iMonolith.
iMonolith?
The letter I,
like,
and then monolith.
Uh-huh. Okay.
They were the opening gig last night. They're fantastic. Fantastic.
I'll definitely have to check them out. Yeah, I just got to give big points to Unleash the Archers because of how clever they are, and they do so many interesting things with their videos. It's like as soon as you give them any kind of budget, they do something weird with it. They had one where they were the Road Warriors in Australia, and they got a bunch of them with, like D&D theme, invading armies, and whatever they can afford. They have way too much fun with their videos, as you can see where they get captured by Sasquatch and forced to play in his cave.
Right on. Right on. Well, it's always good to see you, buddy.
Yep. Yeah, it's just busy here this time of year. I got another half-hour-long video I'm putting out before this weekend that's going to cover the recent stuff that happened up in Coloma, the track line I found up there, the cryptids that we found in the video that we shot while we were up there last time. Show those. And then this coming weekend, I have the return of the Sulphur River Sasquatcher, Stephen Hill, back to the show to catch us up on everything he's found over the last 8 months or so, which is a pretty good amount of stuff. I actually showed a couple of them on my community tab on YouTube. It's like, well, that's a really good picture. And right before I came on the show, one of my former guests up in Alaska that did a show when he was hunting moose, and they ran into tons of Bigfoot tracks. And so they kind of spent a whole day running around filming those instead of hunting moose. Thanks, guys. That was mighty nice of you. Well, he just sent me, he's out in the woods again playing around, and he sends me this picture of this perfect track in the mud, 22 inches long.
22 inches. Holy
yeah,
cow.
big boys up there in Alaska, Dave.
Yeah, no kidding.
Big boys.
Let's go find some of them.
Well, they live here too.
You know what? I don't know if you heard the story the other night. Did I talk to you about that? About the guy came into my daytime?
Yeah, the guy that saw the thing on all fours run across the road.
I still can't figure out what that is. I'm still thinking about that.
Yeah, something that got displaced from Nahanni and is out touring around for the summer.
Yeah, right.
God. That same book I was reading out of, I was looking earlier, and he had some short stuff in there about the Nahanni Valley, too. And even, way back there 60 years ago, he knew about most of the stuff that we have reported to us nowadays, that scuttlebutt that goes around about it. He had a complete list of everybody that had their head ripped off, all their names.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 60 years ago.
Yeah,
he was the king of the cryptid hunters.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. All right, buddy. Gonna let you go. You have a good one. We'll talk to you next week.
You too. Take care. Love you guys.
See you, buddy.
Rock out. Unleash the Archers.
Thanks for Duked Out Radio.
Always a blast. Love you guys. We'll see you here next Tuesday.
You're one of the good ones, Duke. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, brother. Take care.
Good night. Love Super Duke. Love the Super Duke. Hey, Big J, how you doing? Guys, I apologize. I'm a little tired right now, but we're going to get through this last half hour, and then we're going to edit the show. I am worn the hell out. It's been a quick 24 hours. Quick 24 hours. Oh, yes. Oh, change color, please. There we go. Yeah, it's been a quick 24 hours. Old Davey's tired. Davey's going to catch up with some sleep this weekend. Remember the days where you could just, go and go and go? God. It's like when I turned 40, man, and the next day, my first day at 40 years old, I woke up to body pain. Excuse me. And now I can't even push it 24 hours. I'm out of shape. I got to start prepping for this stuff. Big thank you to Eddie ×2, Thomas, GTO, and Smithy for the super chats. And we're still 11 away from 100 thumbs up. We need those for the algorithms, if you don't mind. And don't forget after the show to leave a comment down below. Tell us what you thought of tonight's show. And, yeah, let's get this thing going right now. Round at third, we're headed for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. What a fast show tonight. Can't believe we're almost done. Varla Ventura, Swamp Dweller, Super Duke, and now the Dave 101 coming up here momentarily. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again where I let go of my thoughts on the Dave 101.
It's time for Dave 101.
Probably going to take some heat for this, but frankly, I don't care. But there's two things that I want to discuss about the UFO world right now. Number one, I'm a little tired of all these different acronyms that are coming up. UAP, UAAP, UAPA, NASA, BYOB, whatever you want to call it. Can we just get back to UFOs? Seriously. Now, I know they say in the government world there's a real stigma when it comes to the initials UFO. But you know what? It still works. And every time the government has to put an acronym on something, they come up with something stupid. Something that doesn't make sense. Well, let's take a look at some of them. UAPTF, which apparently isn't good enough. So now, then it went to AOI MSG. Then you had ATIP, you had OSAP. What's the snafu with this all? As we're apparently going into another name called AARO, AARO. It's so unimportant I've already forgotten what it stands for. The acronyms are getting ridiculous. It's like they are purposely trying to screw us up in trying to break down who, what, where, when, why when it comes to what is being done about UFOs. Look, I get it. There's been a lot of fun names and funny circumstances regarding UFOs. Tinfoil hats. I mean, who remembers the movie Independence Day, watching Randy Quaid get absolutely trounced on by his neighbors and townfolk before he flies his F-18 right up the you-know-what of the UFO, saying, "Hey, boys, I'm back. Up yours." You remember that? Anyways, I do. But the idea behind it is this. The government is trying to mess us up. They're trying really hard to push us into forgetfulness. Maybe the public will forget about this. Maybe the public will shut up about it. Maybe Tucker Carlson will go back to bow ties and politics and the Democrats rather than talking unidentified flying objects. No, I've decided on this show that I'm banning the word UAP. I'm just done with it. It's making no sense to me. UFO still works. It doesn't matter who you are, or what you say about the subject. Well, the argument behind it is UAP literally means everything. It means that it could be a drone, it could be a seagull in the air, it could be another fighter pilot, it could be a UFO, it could be absolutely anything, from balloons to Chinese lanterns to, flying winged objects in the sky, like birds. Yep, those are all UAP. Nah, UFO still works. It still works perfectly for what we do. So therefore, yeah, we may have some guests in the future who UAP it up because they want to be popular, they want to use them handsome words and those handsome acronyms. But not me. No, not me. I'm not doing it. I refuse. Absolutely refuse. Because for 75 years, UFO worked perfectly. Now, Dave, let's think about this for a second, because UFO doesn't cancel out what's happening underwater. Well, technically it does. Technically it does. That's why we have USO. It's a different thing. But still, they seem to be flying in the sky, coming out of the water. And there we are. Boom. UFO. It works. Nice and easy. Now, part 2 of this is this part. We hear a lot of these people out there talking about disclosure. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm here to tell you that disclosure doesn't exist. You may not believe me. You may not want to believe me. But I don't believe it does. Now, let me tell you my reasons why. We are in an era of confirmation and not disclosure. I'm going to go to Twitter, where Luis Elizondo is actually trending right now. And on his Twitter post earlier today, he says, responding to a gentleman named Paul Budding, he says, I personally believe we are actually in the middle of disclosure. Based upon what I know and what I see, I believe the time has come for us to discuss collectively the next steps. Happy face. And yes, I do my best to read everything. Thanks and be well. Now, as you know, I'm a fan of Lou. I'll wave the Lou flag anytime, because I believe he's trying really, really hard to bring us the news that we need to know, that we are not alone in this universe. But I'm going to tell you this. Disclosure is everything. It's Roswell, it's Eisenhower, it's Kecksburg, it's Phoenix, it's the LA lights back in World War II. It's aliens, it's ET contact, it's crash retrievals, it's Bob Lazar, it's David Adair, it's every experiencer that has come out, Travis Walton, Samantha Mowat, Melinda Leslie. It's everything. Do we have crash bodies? Do we have little grays? Have we been in contact with aliens over the decades? Are there ancient aliens? Did they help build civilizations? Are they time travelers from the future? Or are they from outer space? Disclosure means everything. You cannot pick and choose like a choose-your-own-adventure on what disclosure means. Now, for people like Elizondo who are in the middle of everything, they've seen the videos. They've investigated the cases, whether it's military or personal. They've seen the internal data on these coming well before, any type of military branch deciding, oh, well, maybe we're going to cover UFOs now. No, they've known forever. They have. They've played us for fools. And now they're playing us for fools once again, saying that this is disclosure. We are working on disclosure. No, you're not. Here's why. If you were working on disclosure, there's no secrets when it comes to true disclosure. We're not hiding videos. We're not, bragging about 21-minute videos or black triangle videos or videos of alien abduction if disclosure was real. We're not having hidden scientific data, which Eric Davis is working on. Elizondo's worked on it. Chris Mellon knows about it. Gary Nolan is investigating it. Scientists at Rice University are investigating it. Hell, MUFON has investigated it. It doesn't work that way for disclosure if you are keeping information out of the public eye. Does not work. This is why we are in an era of confirmation. We see the games being played at the Pentagon with all of the acronyms and all of the new divisions that just never seem to be good enough, so they have to restructure it every 3-4 weeks. The public deserves to know what disclosure means. This is why I always talk about this hidden Pandora's box somewhere in the depths of the Pentagon that holds all the UFO information that we will not see. The only person to come out publicly and state about what true disclosure is Congressman Tim Burchett, who has come out and said, we're not getting any closer to disclosure, and disclosure means everything. Everything. There's no hidden gems here, people. This isn't hide and seek, where you always try and find the person you hate the most first. And you never go after your buddies. If there's a 21-minute video, bring it out. If the Canadian government is sending UFO files to the U.S. and NORAD, we need to know. Okay? But you got to realize there's a lot of secrets that disclosure hides in its current form. It hides any sort of history prior to 2004. It hides any potential alien contact or technology we already have. It hides what the presidents knows and have known. It hides stories like Nixon taking Jackie Gleason to a base in Florida to see a UFO and alien bodies. Whether or not that happened, we don't really know. It's all hearsay. But it hides things. And that's the scary part about this disclosure the United States government is trying to bring forward. No. This is confirmation. Remember, people, the question, why now? They have still not given us a reason as to why now. After 75 years of cover-up since Roswell, wrecking people, their careers, their lives, their homes, their families, there is still no answer to why now. Why now opens up disclosure to freedom. We talk about freedom. We want freedom. The United States, Canada, and the Western democracy, all about freedom. Well, freedom is, we kind of elected you to sit in those positions, Mr., Mrs., Ms., Miss, them, they, politician. You're on our watch. You're on our paycheck. We want answers. We don't want confirmation. We want disclosure. Now, a lot of this stuff I'm talking about, people may listen in and say, look, Dave, you're just looking at this way too simplistically. Maybe I am. But if they can't answer what happened at Roswell or what happened in Phoenix, Shag Harbor, and other places, then that's not disclosure. When you control the media, you control the message. And definitely there is a narrative behind the whole UFO movement. Not UAP movement, UFO movement. And that movement is to give us the information in breadcrumbs. Just give us a little bit. See, told you it's real. And then you have all of social media from Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, all the way down to everybody on UFO Twitter saying, you know, Lou Elizondo's a god, Lou Elizondo's a liar, Lou Elizondo's this, Lou Elizondo's that. It's not all about Lou Elizondo. It's about other people as well who are involved. Because all the government is doing is confirming what we already know. And that is the phenomena is happening, and that's all they're going to tell us. Remember, people, when you think of disclosure, disclosure does nothing to protect today's military-industrial complex. The military wants the toys. NORAD wants the toys. The European countries want the toys. China, Russia want the toys. And these new toys that could be here could literally move this planet forward. But instead, we got to figure out how to militarize them secretly for the next 50 years before the public gets any benefit. But that would change if we knew what disclosure really was and if the aliens were coming to knock on our doors. That is your Dave 101. If you're watching this on YouTube, do me a favor. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. I'm curious your opinion. And now, let's get to Shirky Poo's news.
What time is it?
It's time for Shirky Poo's news!
All right, let's get right to it. Here's one out of California. A Northern California burglar returned to the scene of the crime this weekend after he forgot his keys inside a donut company's corporate office. The thief stole some petty cash from Johnny Donut's office in the San Francisco Bay Area Saturday night, police said. In another twist, he then also grabbed the keys to a bakery vehicle, but didn't steal the vehicle itself. San Rafael police are seeking the public's help to identify the burglar, who used an unknown tool to manipulate the office's doorknob and get inside around 10 p.m. Surveillance video shows the man moving between the office and a back storage area where he had pried open a filing cabinet. Yeah, but he had to go back because after he took the cash and everything, he was so excited, literally forgot his own keys inside. Yet the police are still looking for him. Let's continue on. Bad Taco Bell manager here. Beware of this one. Taco Bell is being sued by two customers who allege a manager at a Dallas location poured scalding hot water on them after they complained about their wrong order. Brittany Davis and a minor identified only as CT, believed to be Davis's niece, claim they were left with permanent skin damage from last month's incident. The suit alleges that Taco Bell and its employees of displaying gross negligence and hiring negligence, resulting in the alleged attack. Davis and her niece reportedly went through the restaurant's drive-thru twice to get their order corrected, but were turned away both times. Then they parked and walked into the restaurant, which was closed at the time. They were denied once again by employees, and that's when a manager who wasn't initially involved approached with a bucket of hot water and poured it on the pair, allegedly dousing the girl's face and getting water on the chests of both victims. The manager returned with a second bucket of boiling water, but they were able to escape a second attack. The restaurant employees followed the wounded pair outside and taunted them as they drove off. Davis was treated for deep burns to her chest and stomach and suffered an injury to her brain functioning results in at least 10 seizures. CT suffered burns to her face, chest, legs, arms, and stomach. The customers reported the incident and the burns they suffered to Dallas police, who are investigating. This is going to get interesting. A New Jersey family is suing a funeral home for $50 million. Yeah, $50 million. After its employees allegedly put the wrong woman in their mother's casket. Think about that. The family of 93-year-old Kim Yun Jim claimed the staff at Central Funeral Home in Ridgefield, New Jersey, mixed her up with another woman with the same last name and put her in her mother's clothes. But those attending her memorial did not recognize the deceased, according to the lawsuit. The last memory of her was very painful and disturbing and horrible, Kim's daughter, Kubi, said. When the director opened the casket, I told him, this is not my mom. And she didn't say a word about it. She was so much younger looking. Kumi chalked up the difference in appearance to be the embalming process and application of heavy makeup, fake hair, and or some type of filler such as Botox. The woman in the casket also had all her teeth, so Kim's dentures were placed under the pillow. But as the casket was lowered into the ground, the director showed Kumi a photo of her phone of her mom, still at the funeral home. I collapsed, Kumi said. She ran away without saying a word, and why she was taking the casket out. The casket was pulled from the ground, and the family learned that inside was another Korean woman who shared the same last name. Oh, that's just nightmarish. Just nightmarish. Thank you so much, everybody, listening in to Dave 101 tonight. Hanging out with us with Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio, Swamp Dweller at the top of the hour, and, of course, our good friend Varla Ventura from varlaventura.net, talking paranormal stories all night long tonight. Man, was it a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. Once again, I apologize for the raspy voice tonight. Blame the Avatar concert I went to last night, but we're back in the saddle again. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.